Good afternoon, mech techs, mech warriors, and of course, nobles in hiding. We're back. We're here. Unfortunately. Alas, the work never ends, and so neither do the streams. Let me just switch over to good old IntelliJ. Boop. How is everybody today? I hope you're all well. I had a bit of a lazy morning today. I was up late. I ended up continuing to develop after we stopped stream yesterday. And basically, I did not end up going to bed until 1 a.m. local. Whoopsie doodles. But we have some cool things. I managed to actually get something that I was wanting to do today done yesterday, which I'll be going over in just a bit. It's a feature I think a lot of people will be really happy with. Radon says, "Are doing okay? Slept like crap due to a nightmare." Yeah, I tend to have very, very vivid dreams myself. And as a result, I when I do have nightmares, they tend to be quite impactful. Fun fact: so as you guys are all probably aware by the tone of my voice and the fact that I present myself as female, I am in fact trans. In fact, I'm very early in my trans journey, which is why I still sound and look like a dude. But one of the things that clued me into the fact that I was trans was when I dream. I always dream as female. I never dream as male, even like as a kid. As a kid, I never dreamed as male. I was always female in my dreams. That's one of the things that clued me in. One of many, many things, of course. You don't just make a decision as important as deciding that you're trans, or I should say realizing that you're trans just based on what gender you dream in. But that was one of the things. Radar says, that's an interesting thing to figure out you're trans. It was like, don't get me wrong, it was a multitude of things. It was a multitude of things. But that was one of the things. So what are we going to do today? First off, I want to start off with a bit of a code review. I want to go over a feature that I implemented yesterday. As I say, it was a feature we did intend to implement today, but I needed to stay up late for other programming reasons, so I figured I'd try it out, and then I realized, oh, this is easier than I thought, and it ended up getting done. So what was meant to be just a little bit of an experimentation, like I said I'd do yesterday, I wanted to experiment, figure out how hard the task would be. It ended up, in fact, just getting done. Then we're going to hit the bug queue. It's the end of the week, so the last thing I want to do is start on any really big features, because last thing I want is for a repeat of last week where it hits the end of the stream and we're half done, so I don't need to push the stream back, because tonight is, of course, the Scotorious Bastards, our ongoing MekHQ campaign. That'll be tonight. You can check the time in the schedule, which is available on the channel homepage, and that will be adjusted to your personal time zone, so you don't have to worry about missing it. I will also be doing here on the MekHQ Discord. Hammer says I should. So I'll be doing that, so it'll be even harder to miss. But because I'm doing two very long, very exciting streams, it really means that I need to have a break between them. And so I don't want to get into the habit of overrunning on time, because that just eats into my dinner time, eats into my relaxation before we jump in to the Scotorious Bastards. Who are the Scotorious Bastards? I'm sure you're all aware, but if you're not, the Scotorious Bastards are a Rasselhague Republic house unit. We are about 5 years before the start of the clan invasion, and we're building up, ready to face the clans. I say ready, we're not going to be ready. It's going to be a massacre, but it's going to be an interesting story nonetheless. So let's have a look and see if we've got any activity. Doopy-doopy-doo. So yesterday we had an amazing raid by Omnituans. Another streamer. They brought over 13 friends. Unlucky for some, but lucky for us. And they also followed, so thank you very, very much for the follow, Omnituans. I really appreciate that, and the raid as well. It was, as I say, it was our first ever raid, so it was very exciting. And maybe we'll see some people who raided yesterday join us. That'd be nice. But if not, I hope wherever they are, they're doing well. So as I say, I had a bit of a lazy morning today. I looked after my dogs. They're currently sleeping on the couch. I did some house chores, because I need to make sure that I'm not just dedicating all my time to MekHQ, that I am, in fact, looking after where I live, because that looks after me. And if your environment is messy and a bit chaotic, it tends to affect your mental health as well. And mental health is really, really important. You need to, it can be hard sometimes, but you need to do everything you can to look after yourself. Especially in these turbulent times where everything's a bit intense. If you can control your home environment, at least a little bit, it can help you feel better. Speaking of controlling environments, my wife is doing some house viewings next week. So hopefully we'll be able to move into an apartment soon. We will be moving into an apartment, not a house at first, because we want to move, because we're moving state. And we want to make sure that we are kind of situating ourselves in a state relatively quickly. And then roughly this time next year, we'll have identified a permanent home that we want to put a down payment for and get the mortgage and all that good stuff. We don't want to rush, because picking a home is probably one of the most important decisions you can make as an adult. And so by renting for a year, it means we can get to know the area that we'll be living in, we can find the good areas, the bad areas, and it also means we'll have time to go, ooh, I like that house, as opposed to, oh God, I need to get a house right this second. So that's what my wife's doing next week. I, however, am holding up the homestead, so let's stop talking about boring chores, because that's not what you're here for. You're not here to hear about the life of Illiani. It's a terribly boring life. I wake up, I do chores, I work on MekHQ. It's a hard life, but it's one I enjoy. But what are we doing today? Let's flip over to IntelliJ. We're already on IntelliJ, we don't need to flip over anywhere. As you can see, the branch down here is titled Procurement Prioritization. So I'm going to boot up MekHQ, and while I'm booting up, I'm just going to give it a bit of background. In MekHQ, you can order stuff. However, as many of you who are probably aware, you cannot change the order that stuff is ordered in. So if you have a medium laser and, say, a large laser, and you desperately want to order a medium laser, but you place an order for the large laser first, there's no way to fix that. The large laser will be rolled for first, and that will use the administrator's acquisition for that day or that week, however you have it set up. And so if you have 6 items already in the list and you desperately need that medium laser, the only way to do that is to delete the entire list, which is a pain in the butt because then you don't have all the other stuff that you want, and then just have the medium laser, large laser, whatever in the list. So what I've gone ahead and done is we've added a new button, Procurement Priority. Ooh, shiny. And I'll show you how that works in just a second. Boop, just generate a campaign. We're just gonna go ahead and click past all the rubbish, blah, 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 babies happen, blah, blah, blah. That's a lot of babies. This campaign was very productive in its free time. Get past all the bounce. So this is just saying that we've got certain options available, so we've been given extra units. It's just welcoming us. So if I go to parts in use, I can scroll down to the bottom and just set an order, and this is going to order parts to the minimum stock levels. Here we go. Here's all the parts MekHQ thinks I need. But here's an example of how it is. So we've got the priority on the right hand side. This is a new column. But that means that upper leg actuators are always going to be ordered, and then we'll attempt to order these left torsos and then right legs, jump jets, upper legs, mech head, blah, 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 you get the idea. If, for example, I desperately needed a flamethrower because infantry are a pain in the ass, I need to wait for all these other 17 items to get ordered first. And if for example, upper leg actuator, it has an estimated 2+ targets. If that had, for example, 11+, my administrators are going to waste all their attempts trying to get upper leg actuators, and it could be months. It could be months until I get my flamer that I desperately need. That's a bad experience. And this has been the case forever, basically. For as long as you've been able to order parts, this is how it's worked. And it has been a long-standing request that players have some way to influence this. So that's what we're doing. So now all you need to do is click on Procurement Priority. Boop. And it's going to open up this sexy little screen here. Now on the left you have the priority of the item, and you have the other item. And you can see here, the order matches the 2 screens. So now if I scroll down to my flamer, I can move the priority up, I can move the priority down, I can move it all the way to the bottom. Boop. Now we need to order these other 117 items before we hit the flamer. But I'm desperate for flames. So I'm going to move it all the way up to the top. Boop. And there we go. So now, Flamer is right at the top. Pink Bully, I'll get to that in a second. And if I advance day, this might break. Cool, didn't break. We had a bug yesterday, so I wasn't sure if it had been fixed. And I go to my warehouse, and I can see that the Flamer has been ordered. Pink Bully asks, what kind of container was it? So it was a shopping list class that held a list. And thankfully, everything was in the list. And what that means is previously, when I attempted to do exactly what I've done here, I completely overcomplicated it. So and because it was just stored in a list, and as I mentioned and explained yesterday, a list has a set order to it. I say set, it doesn't change unless you change it. And we can look at the priority. The priority is basically the order the items appear in the list array. Just like if you had a piece of paper and numbered list. And so because it was that, it was incredibly easy to change. As I mentioned, my goal was last night after I did the stream, I said I wanted to go through and just do some research, see how hard it would be, create a proof of concept. And I made the proof of concept and I was like, oh, all I need to do is add some Java docs and neaten up the code and it's done. So rather than doing this on stream, which I had actually wanted to do, I ended up just accidentally doing it all off stream. So sorry about that, but we will have a look at the code in a second. Boomback says, MekHQ dev, thank you for your work, Illiani. You appreciate it along with the rest of the team. Thank you so much, Boomback, and welcome to the stream. Boomback says, list is a list in Java, should have your thoughts, right? It's been a minute since I've written Java. Yeah, so a list, the best way to think of a list in Java is literally just if you have a piece of paper and you have a numbered list, and like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you have an item at each. It's a deterministic order. So if I have my list and I have items 1, 2, 3, and it's medium laser, jump jet, and PPC. So long as I do not personally, in the code, change the order of that list every time I fetch the list, it will always have the exact same order. And that's what made this incredibly easy, because it meant I didn't even need to do any loading and unloading of the priorities, which is something I was really concerned about, because the priority is just the order the item is in the list, which means when it saves, and it saves the list in a linear fashion, it saves it in the order it's in. It just means it did it all for me, and that meant that what should have been, in my mind, an incredibly difficult task was actually incredibly simple. And it is really, really embarrassing. It has taken me over a year to do this. I've been aware of this problem, the inability to change priority of procurement for years, and yeah, I really over-engineered it previously. I was editing the actual individual items. I was trying everything under the sun except the obvious thing, which is just reorder the list. And I don't know why. But while I was away from the project, so I did take a bit of time off. I burned out quite badly, so I took a half a year off. And didn't ever intend to come back. But yet here we are. So clearly that didn't work. But while I was away, it kept just niggling at my brain that we had this massive problem that hadn't been fixed and really needs to be fixed for player experience. So when I came back, one of the things I really wanted to do, in fact, one of the reasons why I did come back, was specifically to do what you're seeing now. Arcane Hermit, welcome to the chat, says that's peak easy logic 101. Yeah, no, it was really surprising just how relatively easy this was to set up. So let's close out of MekHQ. You're gonna get a black screen very briefly. Boop. There we go, I managed to skip the black screen. Haha. See, I'm improving as a streamer. No more black screens for you, only the finest IntelliJ. So, to make life a little bit easier, we are going to go ahead and show difference. So we're going to show the difference between this branch and main. If it comes up with loads of stuff, okay, so I have updated main, cool. So, the shopping list is the core class that holds the list, as one might expect by being called shopping list. And all we've done here is just added a couple of helper methods. So these are helper methods. They just adjust the item's position in the list. So for example, move item up just reduces the index by 1. Now, with a list, something that you always need to keep in mind, and this is true for a lot of items in programming, but not all, and that is many items in programming index from 0. So, if actually, this makes me wonder, what happens if the index is 0 and we attempt to move the item up? That could be a bug. So I'm going to boot up MekHQ. We're just going to double check that. But this is one of the reasons why you always want to go over your code, even the next day if it's a big code, just to kind of come ahead with a fresh eye. So while MekHQ is booting up, we'll just continue going over here. So you can see on this line, all we're doing is just moving the item. We're just changing the index. So if it's index 1, it becomes index 0. If it's index 10, it becomes index 9. And because we're ordering from 0 onwards, so index 0 is lists index from 0. So if there's 10 items, or so say 3 items on the list, it's 0, 1, 2, not 1, 2, 3. To the user, in the priority, we're going to show it as 1, 2, 3. We do that because I didn't want a situation where players, users, were mistakenly thinking that 0 was the lowest priority. I didn't want them thinking that if they had something at 0, it was going to be ordered last, or stuff like that. To me, it's obvious that it wasn't going to work that way, but over the years I've been working on MekHQ, I've kind of learned that, and this isn't to disparage the intelligence of anybody, I have just learned that you kind of need to be aware of misconceptions that you yourself wouldn't have. And that can be for a variety of reasons. It could be that the player just is new to MekHQ and still learning everything. It could be a language thing. There are many different reasons why it could be misconceived. You just have to be really aware of it. So it looks like MekHQ's booted up. Boop. So in this case, I think if I just load save, I should have a save of it all set up. And I think I've protected us in code from accidentally changing 0. But before I check the code itself, I'm just going to test it. And we could just test the code, but if we just test it in the app, we're going to immediately know if it breaks. Yay, it doesn't break. Okay, cool. And we'll check the bottom. So move down to the bottom. Cool. So that means we programmatically protected ourselves. And I just forgot. Like I say, I could check that in the code, but sometimes it's best to check in the actual app itself. Radar says, I mean, to use the history example, the US grading system threw out E because people mistook E for being excellent rather than being worse than D. Yeah, no, stuff like that. It's really, really easy, and especially having lived in multiple different countries. So right now, I live in North America. As you can probably tell from my accent, I'm not always from around here. I was originally born in the UK, but I've also lived in Scotland. Well, I suppose that's technically part of the UK. But I've lived in Scotland. I've also lived in Finland. Absolutely love Finland. Finland is a fantastic country. If you ever get the opportunity, Helsinki is a beautiful city. But you kind of, when you're living in these different places and people have different cultural upbringings, cultural expectations would perhaps be the better way of doing it. You kind of learn that you can't always assume that someone's going to look at something the same way you are. Boop. And I find when it comes to North America that this is usually wrapped into this rather gross concept that Americans are stupid. For example, the story that Americans thought the Quarter Pounder was a small burger, and I think, haha, yeah, we can all make it a joke, but I do think that if those kinds of jokes were made about any other country, people would get a lot more upset. And I think when it comes down to it, it's not necessarily that one country is stupid because they don't figure out things the same way that you do. It's more that different countries have different societal upbringings and therefore different expectations, and they see things differently. Your environment shapes your thought. But I'll step off my soapbox, and here we go. So this is where we're protecting ourselves from accidentally exceeding the index or outside of it. So this is all good. So we're removing it from the existing index and we're adding it back. So that's what this all does. So then the procurement table, all we're doing here is just adding in the new column. I'm not going to go over line by line the procurement table. It's really not that interesting. But what I will show you is the priority dialog. So at the top we have our copyright. We have to include that. We have to include that, otherwise Microsoft will get upset at us. Catalyst will probably just send us a quiet email saying, hey, you forgot, but oh, we don't need that anymore. Let's get rid of that. Boop. So what that was telling me was that we had an instance of campaign stored at the class level when we actually just need to make it local. Easy enough. So again, I'm not going to go over everything line by line because I only want to really go over the interesting stuff. No one wants to sit here listening to me blather on about rubbish. So this is populating. This code here is setting the model, and the model says single selection, so you can't select multiple items. And this sets up the renderer. This allows us to do extra stuff with the table that you couldn't otherwise do. And here we're adding the various items from the shopping list. We're adding it to the table. And here's the fun thing. So preferences. You'll know that in some dialogues you can resize it, and MekHQ will remember the size. That's what set preferences does. It does some wizardry. I didn't do set preferences, so I don't know exactly how it works, but I just know that if I need to put this here. However, because of the way set preferences works, you have to put it before set visible. Because this is a modal dialog, it stops processing like visuals once it becomes visible to the user. So if, for example, we move set visible above set preferences, we'll make it visible, at which point additional processing on the dialog will fail, so the preferences will never be set and it will always go to the default. And it's a pain in the bum. It really, really is. And every one of my dialogues has this comment here and here, just to remind you it has to go before set visible. And here we just have buttons and action listens. Action listens just tell MekHQ what to do when you click the button. This one here is only disposing, so we can just get rid of that. And we can convert it into a lambda. This here is the lambda. It basically just sets up an event and just does a thing. It's a simplified way of doing what I just did. UI isn't my strongest point, so if I'm not explaining things as well as I would do normally for normal code, I do apologize. I learned to work in front end for MekHQ, and I didn't have a background of understanding the concepts that I did with normal programming, so I'm still kind of figuring things out myself. Just looking to see if there's anything particularly interesting here. Not really. This bit here that I'm coming to now, this just tells the column what to include. So name, type. We use ignore here because we're not reusing the variable. So we're just telling the compiler it doesn't need to store the variable, it just needs to do the thing. So yeah, I mean, the whole change, including Java docs, which is these, was around 600 lines of code. It is incredibly tiny for what it does. So I'm just going to remove this class level variable. There we go. Now, if you have any questions about what's going on and what I'm talking about, just feel free to post in chat. Always happy to answer questions, and it doesn't need to be limited to what I'm doing now. If you have any questions about MegaMek, MekHQ, development, gaming design, feel free to ask. But yeah, so there isn't really much to go over there. I wish it had been a bit more interesting, because for a feature people have been asking for over half a decade. It was awkwardly easy to implement, and it means that there just isn't that much interesting to go over, other than to say, hey, we did it, finally. So I'm just gonna have a little bit of my protein drink. Bear with me just a second. Arcane Hermit says, or counterpoint, they skip the E and go full on F for fail instead. No, I was under the impression that F stood for fantastic. Radar says, hey, this was easier than past Illiani made this out to be. It really, really was. Like, I'm not exaggerating when I say that I've been trying to kill this particular dragon for over a year at this point, possibly multiple years, and every attempt I was doing was just grossly overcomplicating it. But this is an important lesson in programming. You have to test your base assumptions, and sometimes stepping away from a problem is the best way to see the issue from a different direction. Arcane says, oh joy, the internal twisting must clearly be optimizing with fantastic rating. Probably why they say exclude instead of expelled now by that level to train for. Maybe. Fun fact, while I was away from the project, I was actually working on a Roomba fighting game in Unity. It didn't get very far because I solo dev is incredibly lonely, and I really missed having a team to bounce off. So it didn't get very far, but the movement code, one of the problems I had to solve, required me to move things around, and that's what actually gave me the key to do the procurement priority. The just looking at it from a different direction. If one thing couldn't be done, how do we separate the things? So even when you've been programming for a few years, as I have now, like, you can still learn, and one of the best things you can do is try to learn a different programming language. For me, in that case, it was C#. And I just, because language shapes thought, both in spoken language, but also in programming language. And so trying out new languages expands how you can think and conceptualize as a developer. Arcane Hermit says, I know the way full well. A team motivates each other, but by oneself, it's less a marathon and more than a mountain instead. Yeah, no, exactly. And it cannot be It cannot be understated how important the MegaMek team is to development of MegaMek, but also how important the community is. And going solo, while I do not doubt I have the skills, and this isn't me being arrogant, this is just being like realistic. Realistically, I have the skills to develop a solo project. With the amount of stuff that I ship for MekHQ, I absolutely have the skills, and what I don't know, I can learn. But without the backing of a team and without the presence of a community, it just gets really, really lonely. It's so hard to motivate yourself when you don't have anybody to show the cool thing to. You don't have anybody to go, oh, hey, that's cool, but have you tried this? And I have immense respect for people who are solo developers, but I think I've just accepted that for myself, I need to have a team. Not because I can't do the work, but because I just enjoy having that team there to share ideas with, to bounce off. And because, especially on the MegaMek team, I absolutely love everybody on the team. Like, they are some of my fondest friends. Hammer in particular is like, I have so much respect for Hammer, our project lead. He shoulders a massive burden because the BattleTech community, I absolutely adore the community. Y'all are really, really passionate. And as a project lead, when those passions get fiery, Hammer is the one that has to share the brunt of the ire. I can just hide in my ID for a bit until the chaos blows over. Hammer unfortunately has to deal with it. But feature review out of the way. How about we fix some bugs? Now I know this is going to be super interesting, but bugs have to get fixed, and we can't always just be making new features and then leaving it in an array. So normally what I like to do is I go to the oldest bug and work my way forwards. Right now I'm doing front to back just because I know there's a few bugs in here I really want to fix, and because it hasn't been that long since I filtered through the older stuff. So let's just start at the top. Nightly MekHQ refactor, unable to start scenario. So in Nightly, you can't start scenarios, which is kind of important. So let's go ahead and fix this. So I'm not going to review what the issue report says because I was the one that asked them to make it. I know what it's involved. And it's also my mistake, I broke it. So first, we want to get ourselves set up in a situation where we can actually test it. So if you bear with me, I'm just going to flip over into Safari because I forgot to sync my forks. So what this means is I'm just making my local copy of the 4 branches, MegaMek, MekHQ, Data, and MegaMek Lab. I'm just making sure it matches the main one. We had to fix some pretty important bugs yesterday, so that if I don't do this, what's going to happen is as soon as I load the campaign, it's going to break. It's just going to completely break. Saving's fine, specifically loading. There we go. So let's merge that in. Radar651 says, I finally sat down and played a battle in the nightlies. The MekHQ, from what I can tell, are working pretty good out of the box. I haven't seen any nasty bugs regarding them, at least. MekHQ is something that we thought we would never get done. There have been, in my time with MekHQ, there have been multiple attempts to implement MekHQ. Yeah, we can use a quick start. And none of them came to fruition. The problem is the MekHQ rules, I think it's like 1 page in campaign operations, if that. And there are a lot of areas where it just isn't clear how the rules interact. And says they're awful. Yeah, no, the way campaign options is written is that it assumes you've got a human GM, and the human GM can kind of make rulings and solve any ambiguities. But when you're implementing into MekHQ, players expect rules as written, and so we need the rules to be clear. And the rules for MekHQ just aren't. So we thought we would never really be able to get it done, but Drake, the absolute mad lad behind MekBay, did it, and it works fantastic. So what am I doing? I am selecting a contract. I'm just going to travel out to this contract. It's me 86 days. It's not going to take long. Yeah, so Arcane Hermit says Modern Core rulebook may fix that. Unfortunately, I highly doubt it. I do not expect to see MekHQ in the new core rulebook. Maybe when we get new TAC ops, but who knows how many years that'll be. Drake somehow did it with the only bug I found it wasn't visible on an official. Oh yeah, I remember that bug. Arcane Hermit says, makes sense because MekHQ are, well, definitely not core mechs by default. Also on that note, 1 out of 2. Oh. And this, ladies, gentlemen, and those between, is why I should wait, read the message, and then read it out. 7 jumps remaining. Did we just run out of money? Oh no, I think I just clicked the wrong button. Yup. There we go. I'm very much looking forward to moving, getting a new office. The office I'm currently in is nice, it's spacious, but it's actually too big. I don't need this much space, and it just means there's a lot of empty room, and it just about half the office is not being utilized. Okay, so we are on the contract. We are going to drop ourselves on this. Boop. Boop. Arcane Hermit continues to say that that Drake's simplification of the rules could be implemented. Whilst it is possible that some stuff in MekHQ or MegaMek or what have you ends up in new rules, it's not a given. At most, what will happen is they might take inspiration and then go and make their own thing. But that's okay. Apparently we refused a bunch of engagements and... Alrighty, so what are we doing here? We are going to save. because I want to have access to this later. Call this pre-scenario. It's advanced a couple of days. Should have done this before. Okay. So, actually, let me just resave this. Thinking as I go ahead. Blesser, welcome to the chat. Says, thank you so much for working on MekHQ. I've spent at least 600 hours on it since I first started playing years ago. Yeah, MekHQ it's a labor of love. I absolutely adore it. I was joking with Hammer that the MegaMek project is the dominatrix we don't have to pay for. But back to the bug. So, first off, I'm going to do something that I know shouldn't trigger the bug. And yet it does. Interestingly and interestingly. Oop. Oop. No scenario. Why oh why no scenario? I mean, you can't see me, but I'm kind of giving a side eye to the app. Let's go back to IntelliJ. So we know start scenario is the front end. So I want to say what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find in the code. Launch scenario. I should have checked this before I closed. No, I'm really sorry. It's start scenario. We can do join game. Join game's another one that appears there. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Start game, not start scenario. Okay. Well, that sucks. So, why aren't you working? Now, the process in which I just searched the UI user-facing code, and I'm using that to walk backwards to where the code lives. That's a concept referred to as grokking. Now, grokking is a concept that's been around for decades, but it is where the AI grok gets its name from. Blesser. So Blesser describes a bug where they add a temporary person and then, a use temporary personnel, add a real person, and then later remove that real person. The unit will mistake itself as being fully crewed. I think I fixed that. I think I fixed that last week. So that hopefully will be fixed in the new release. I fixed a bug very similar to that. It wasn't that the vehicle thought it was fully crewed, it was that we weren't refreshing it properly. So if it is the same bug, and that is not guaranteed, but if it is the same bug, it was just a visual bug, not a programmatic. Okay, so it's hitting start scenario. Okay, so we're creating the briefing dialog, so that should work fine. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to see, is the scenario null? I'm just going to put a breakpoint here. Break. It's fine. So this is just nonsense what I'm putting here. I come for a break. What I'm putting here is just code so I can actually put a breakpoint specifically on these points. And what it's going to allow me to do is see where in the code we get stuck. Because if we hit start scenario, that means we know it's not something to do with salvage. Now, the theory was that some of the new coding I added to the salvage assignment might have broke it. But if we hit start scenario at the bottom, that'll mean that's not the case, and it's something that's happening after that point. But if we never hit start scenario, if we, for example, hit stopper and then run away, or never hit stopper, we know it's probably going to be something in the salvage assignments. So this helps us focus down. There's a little red bug up here. This is debug mode. And that's what tells the IDE, the developer environment, to stop when it hits these breakpoints. Now, this is going to be a little bit complicated, and I'm probably going to forget to switch back and forth, because what's going to happen for me, visually, is that everything's going to bounce automatically between MekHQ and IntelliJ. That's what this is. This is IntelliJ. However, for you guys, I have to manually do it. And anybody who's watched these streams for the past week or two will be very aware I am terrible at remembering the switch screen for you guys. So, if you see me talking about MekHQ, and I'm not on MekHQ, or if you see me talking about IntelliJ, and I'm not here, just drop a message. Drop a message in chat and I can get that switched over. And while we're waiting for MekHQ to load, because it has got the stage data files, unfortunately, so it's going to take a bit, if you're enjoying the stream, consider hitting the follow button in wherever the follow button lives in Twitch. We stream 4 live dev streams a week on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. You can check the main page for this channel if you want to see the schedule. That will be adjusted to your personal time zone. I see Flesser has followed. Thank you so much for the follow, Flesser. I really appreciate it. And what happens tonight? So tonight, it is our ongoing MekHQ campaign, where we follow a Rasslehagian house unit 5 years before the clan invasion. Unfortunately, I am going to have to just blabber on for a bit because stage files does take a couple of minutes. So I'm going to tell you about my favorite mech, the Hunchback 2C standard loadout. And if you have a favorite mech, just drop it into the chat. Flesson says, "Death to the test tube babies, glory to the free Rasslehagian Republic." Exactly. We love a good underdog story. And for anybody wonders, we will be refusing their bachow. But my favorite mech, and if you have a favorite mech, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. But my favorite mech is the Hunchback 2C. Why the Hunchback 2C? Because I'm not very smart. I know only 2 things: drive forward and shoot. And what is better for drive forward than shoot than one of the slowest mechs in the game with the biggest guns? And one day, one glorious day, both of those Ultra AC2s will hit with all 4 shots. And let me tell you, that will be the day I quit the game because it's never going to get better than that. I think if you can score all 4 hits with the Ultra AC20s and the Hunchback 2C with your like 2 shots of ammo, then you've won BattleTech. You're never going to get better than that. You've won BattleTech. You can delete the game. You can go home. You can set fire to your rulebooks. You're never going to beat 4 Ultra AC20s hitting in a single shot. Pleasant says, Warhammer, Ride the Lightning. Warhammer's a really interesting mech. So I say that the Hunchback 2C is my favorite mech. The Warhammer is what I consider to be the most iconic mech. And that's largely due to the original game of Armored Combat, the one that had the really dorky looking Warhammer on the front. And I saw that when I got my original copy of a game of Armored Combat way back in the day. The one that had the cardboard, yes, the cardboard cutouts, as Slesser said, exactly, yeah, the one that had the cardboard cutouts, and just the image of the Warhammer on the front, I absolutely loved it. Arcane Hermit says 2 favorites. First, the Mercury, and that's because of a mix of speed, lightness, and role-playing, and any Blackjack for HBS's BattleTech reasons. Oh, the Blackjack. The Blackjack is such a workhorse mech. Like, it's interesting you say it's one of your favorites, because I think prior to HBS BattleTech, I don't think anybody would have said the Blackjack is their favorite mech. But at the same time, it is hard to say anything bad against the Blackjack. It's a bit like the Centurion. It is such a good workhorse mech. It's not gonna blow anybody's skirt up. It's not gonna make anybody go, oh my god, this is the best mech in the game. It is just a good workhorse mech. It does exactly what it needs to do, nothing more, nothing less. The Centurion's a very similar mech in that. It kind of just does its job. And I think the Centurion is a lot more popular than the Blackjack because it's because of Justin Liao Allard. I think he popularized the Centurion and allowed people to see that the Centurion was a good mech, even if it isn't the most exciting. And then I think HBS BattleTech did the same thing for the Blackjack. Flesser says, prior to the HBS game, I only ever sold them if I had them, and now I keep one just in case I need a new rider when Warhammer gets called. Yeah, exactly. Radar says, my favorite mech. That's a tough one. Lights. That's probably a Wolfhound. Oh, the Wolfhound is a fun mech. I personally prefer the Panther, but I do think the Wolfhound is objectively probably the better of the two. Medium is a toss-up between the Hatchaman and the Blackjack. Again, the Blackjack. We love the Blackjack here. Heavy, that's easy Vulture in any config, and the Black Knight. The Black Knight is a fun mech. Yeah, no, the Black Knight's a fun mech. I think my favorite heavy is the Dragon. And that is purely for MechWarrior Online. The Dragon was back in MechWarrior Online was new and everybody played it. The Dragon was my preferred ride because it had a degree of speed, but still had some decent armor. Professor says mech bowling. I haven't heard that for a long time. If anybody was around during the MechWarrior Online beta, the open beta portion, does anybody remember when they introduced indirect fire in LRMs and suddenly it was just raining constantly? It was like the middle of November, but everybody was dying. Pop-tarding, when they first reintroduced pop-tarding, that too was a time that we endured, that existed. Person said they should have kept that in the knockdown. Yeah, I kind of like the knockdown too. I get why they didn't keep it in. I don't necessarily agree, but I get why they didn't. MechWarrior Online just has a lot of problems. Before I click start, I'm going to say MechWarrior Online has a lot of problems, but we have to be grateful. For every criticism you can give to MechWarrior Online, you have to be grateful for it, because without MechWarrior Online, you would not have MechWarrior 5 clans, and you would not have HBS BattleTech. But even if you don't play any of the video games and don't really care, without MechWarrior Online, you would not have your new Marauder mini. You would not have... I think the Wasp is also one of the unseen. Any of the unseen that have new art, you would not have those. You would not have those because MechWarrior Online was the canary in the minefield that finally broke the stranglehold Harmony Gold had on the game. And the new mech art, again, you can criticize it, but without that, we would not have the new minis. That's why I bought mechs I never used, just to support them in thanks to that. Yeah, like MechWarrior Online, and do not get me wrong, MechWarrior Online has a lot of problems. Okay, and we're hitting our breakpoints. It has a lot of problems, and I think it's hard to say it is a good game. It can be fun, but it has a lot of problems as a game, in my opinion. It basically is trying too hard to be BattleTech World of Tanks. But the good it did for not just the community, as Radar mentions, but to the hobby as a whole, cannot be understated. This golden era, this second golden age we're going through at BattleTech, probably would never have happened without MechWarrior Online, and we have to be grateful for that. Even if you don't like the game, we have to be grateful for that. So let's see here. First off, we're hitting the scenarios. We're getting a scenario where we know that's fine. Okay, the scenario is false, so the scenario does not equal null. So it's not that we haven't created the scenario. It's good. Okay, so we're hitting handle salvage assignments. Here's the moment of truth. So if I'm going to click play, this moves me to the next breakpoint. If this skips over stopper and goes straight to the start scenario, or worse, just skips over everything, we know the problem's in handle salvage assignments. Alrighty, so it's not in handle salvage assignments. We hit the stopper. So this is started successfully. So that means the problem has to be somewhere in start scenario. Boop. Radar comments that even World of Tanks isn't good at being World of Tanks anymore. Oh yeah, no. World of Tanks needs to spend less money on YouTube advertisements and more money on games developers. I haven't played World of Tanks in a very long time, and I'm not sure I ever will again. Radar says they're glad that MechWarrior 5 Mercs finally gave us melee and MechWarrior. Yes. No, I enjoyed 5 Mercs. Not a huge amount. Being on console, I don't have access to mods. But I've said this before on stream. MechWarrior 5 Plans is the game that got my wife interested in BattleTech, to the point that she now owns... I'm not going to say mechs, because she owns a single mech. She has the Urban Mech Clam that she's painted up. but she really, really enjoyed clans, and I did too. Okay. So there's a lot going on here. There is a lot going on here. Where could the problem be? Let's what we're gonna do is we are going to what change have I done briefing tab? Oh, we don't need those anymore. No. Shoo. Okay, we are gonna have a look and see what changes have been made to briefing room. Breda says, yet another mech lab really helps the replayability of mercs. Yeah, no, I understand that. MechWarrior 5 really does benefit from mods, similar to Skyrim in that way. Okay. So this is the most likely. I mean, I say this is the most likely. This is the only change of significance that I can see. So what we're going to do, we're going to jump to this point. Boop. We're going to remove this. We're just going to comment it out, and comments means it's going to be ignored by the IDE. And now we're going to attempt to start a scenario again. Fun thing would be another mech lab. YAML, yet another markup language, is one of the file formats we use. And when we started incorporating YAML into MekHQ and also MegaMek, we had a few people getting confused because they thought we were integrating yet another mech lab into MegaMek because they both have the same abbreviation, YAML. Great if they remember that. Yeah, it was fun. And once again, we're just waiting on MekHQ loading. I swear I spend half my life in a screen. I hope everybody's having an amazing day. I have accepted my my role. I was saying this to Hammer earlier. I have accepted my role as the thing you put into the background. Just me blathering away while you work or play MekHQ or whatever it is. And that's okay. There's not exactly much interesting on screen anyway. So we're going to hit start, and if this works, if it starts the campaign, it means we found the problem. Boop. Boop. Yeah, okay. So we have in fact found the problem. That's nice and easy. Turns out it was part to do with salvage after all. Naughty, naughty salvage. Arcane Hermit says, MechWarrior 5 can't wait for the latest DLC to break their mod list. There's a new DLC? The last I heard was the Clan Invasion DLC. I didn't realize we got a new one. Ooh, this is news to me. So apparently we're getting close to FedCon Civil War. Oh, that's interesting. And that I'd be very, very interested in. I was thinking they were going to move on to Civil War after Clans. I would prefer if we had a standalone Civil War game, but I can understand why they're probably doing DLC instead. All right, okay, so let's just step back from this. What are we attempting to do? Now, one of the good things you can do when you're programming is just write out in language. So if we're not displaying the salvage format, okay, so we haven't picked a So we're returning false if it's cancelled. Is this going to also return false if it's cancelled? Right after this, we do have a Civil War game, MechWarrior 4 Vengeance, Black Knight, and Kind of Mercs. Yeah, I guess. I personally, I don't mind playing older games. I don't think the older MechWarrior games have aged particularly well, and they can be a huge pain in the ass to get running on modern systems. Oh, I can hear my phone going off. Bear with me just a moment. I'll be right back. And I'm back. You might hear my phone going off in the background. I do apologise. I have to have it on while I'm working because something important comes through. In this case, it was my immigration lawyer reaching out to my wife to organise some things. Because unfortunately, we live in a time where, as an immigrant, I have to have a lawyer. Such as... Now, we don't go into politics on this channel. That's not what we're here for. But we are in a situation where I am an immigrant in this time, and therefore I am, unfortunately, forced to have a lawyer. And lawyers like to show that they are worth the money you invest. So they contact us from time to time. Fredo says the only politics we go into are BattleTech related. Exactly. The real world is a scary place right now for everybody, and we don't want that here. So if we are not building salvage forces, we're just going to return false, I think. I think returning false is the play. I think that is correct. Let's test that out. Youngster says, my political stance as the Victor Steiner Davian was actually a cool dude and didn't murder his mum. I'm afraid I'm going to have to disagree with you. I am firmly of the opinion that Catherine Steiner did nothing wrong. Let's wait for MekHQ to load. Youngster says they're unsubbing. I do still need to figure out some bonuses for you folks that are subbed. That's one of my jobs for this weekend. So that's that they're afraid that they're going to have to feud with me for 3 centuries. So just to make you folks aware, because I know we've got a few new faces in here, I know I sound like a dude, and in fact I do currently look like a dude. Right now I am I'm very early in my transgender journey. But if you're able to, and I know it's easy to forget, I don't blame anybody for their mistakes, but if you're able to, please try to use she, her pronouns in your messages. But again, like I say, I know it's when you're hearing a dude's voice, it's very easy to kind of just make assumptions, and so I don't blame anybody. It's all good. Let's just launch this, see if it works. Okay, so yeah, we found the issue. Here's the thing, though. Why are we going straight... Oh, I know why we're going straight here. Let's return to the launch bay. We're using the learning ropes, which doesn't have advanced salvage turned on, so that's why I'm not getting salvage prompts. I can fix that. Fredo says Catherine Steiner can go drink jump jet fuel. Yeah, no, memes aside. Memes aside, yeah, Catherine Steiner is definitely the bad guy in the Civil War. As a matter of Canopa's play, I just prefer to stay out of Innisphere politics. I think I accidentally clicked new campaign instead of just applying. I did. Whoops-a-doodles. Let me just reload that up. One of the downsides of streaming is my attention split, so I keep making daft mistakes. So what we're doing, we're going into campaign options, and this time we're not starting a new campaign. Arcane Hermit's mentioning Mundo Wardley. Yeah, or Wakely, whatever her name was. I agree. Mundo not getting assassinated is a really fun what if. No, that's one of the what ifs I like experimenting with myself. What are we doing? We're in operations systems? Where does salvage live? Cannot salvage, there we go. We have too many campaign options. I tried deleting some last year, I think it was, but people really don't like their options being taken away, so we had to stop that project. Besson says if she isn't assassinated, we don't have to wait for the word of Blake. The crazies come out early when the FedCom is still in one piece. Or worse, everything kind of gets held together until right in the middle of the FedCon civil war, and everything just completely goes to shit. Hey, what if Radar's experiment is what if the clans invaded before 3030? Yeah, if it wasn't for the Wolf Gambit, the Ionosphere would have been absolutely slaughtered, because that would have been before we, as the Ionosphere, had unlocked the Helm Core, and it would have, without the Helm Core technology, it would have been a straight up massacre. Hammer's dropping out. Thank you very much for joining us, Hammer. I'll be honest, I didn't realise you were there. Or if I did, I forgot. But thank you for joining the stream, Hammer. Lovely to see you as always. What am I doing? Boop. There we go. Okay, so here we go. So if I cancel this should cancel out of the drop. Done. Start game. The next thing is if I don't select any salvage teams, it should no longer prompt me select salvage staff. It is. Okay. Cancel out that. So we've not quite fixed all the bugs yet, but that's okay. Person says, I think the Drax and Steiner fall, but the other three can get their act together and not lose anything. I think that would make sense. Yeah, no, I think that would happen, not necessarily because the other factions would get their shit together, but I think because the clans themselves would just overextend, or just the impetus would peter out once they retook Terra. There we go. Pesky conditionals. Arcane comments about BattleTech Gothic. BattleTech Gothic has some fun minis. I can't say it's a product for me personally, and I'm okay with that. And I think that BattleTech, yeah, I keep wanting to say Battlefleet, but BattleTech Gothic I think gets a lot of flack from a lot of players because they feel like it's taking away resources from stuff that they do care about. But I think what needs to be remembered is that not every product has to be for every person. And this is something we get in MekHQ as well, where not every new feature is meant to be enjoyed by every player. The education system is a really good example of that. The education it's not meant to be for every player, but those players who it is meant for tend to really enjoy it. And I think it's important to appeal with your features or with your products to niche audiences within the community, because not only that, it makes them feel part of the community still, even if they are in the niche, but it also helps bring in new players. And I can guarantee you there are a bunch of 40k players who picked up BattleTech Gothic. So back to our briefing room. Boop. It's advanced state. Let's go start game. So if we don't pick anything here, it should skip the next screen. Bingo. And if we go back here, and if we do select salvage team, it should then prompt us to select salvage staff. There we go. I can confirm those staff. And one last check, so we want to check all of our avenues. We've selected salvage team. We selected salvage staff. There we go. Okay. So that's that bug fixed. Boop. Okay, no, it says 40k BattleTech is also more original than the well 40k lawsuits. Checking on the right branch, and I'm going to hit commit. Arcane comment is commenting how BattleTech can be far cheaper than 40k. No, there are a few hobbies in the wargaming sphere that are more expensive than 40k. Very, very few hobbies. The quality of minis you get in 40k is high. I don't personally believe they're worth the cost, personally. But I really enjoyed 40k as a teenager. I definitely think 40k has that teenage appeal. Let's scoot over to Safari. Let's put in our pull request. Flesto comments that diamond collectors can spend less than a 40k collector. Yeah. Yeah, no, 40k a long time ago decided that it wanted to be a premium product. I think also 40k has kind of accepted its life cycle, that players join, GW pisses them off, they go away, they come back a few years later. And so I suspect it's all built around the concept of getting as much money out of the player for the short time they're in the hobby. Arcane Hermit is hitting a still sensitive nerve. Arcane Hermit comments that they're salty on Warhammer in a lens because their nostalgia Warhammer fancy got hammered into Age of Sigmar. I am still upset about what they did to Warhammer Fantasy. And it doesn't matter how much they bring it back as the old world. I'll never go back. And yeah, no, I will never not be angry about what they did to Warhammer Fantasy. And I know this isn't a Games Workshop channel, but I'll briefly go into it. If anybody doesn't know, Warhammer Fantasy was the fantasy version of 40k. Technically, 40k was the sci-fi version of Warhammer Fantasy, but whatever. It was a dark fantasy war game that was very similar to a lot of the historical war games you could play at the time, and it kind of gave it a bit of more mature appeal. Games Workshop decided that it wasn't making enough money compared to Warhammer 40k, so they wanted to kill it. Fair enough. Like, it sucks, but companies' only motivation is to make money. So I don't like it, but I get it. What they did was they unleashed the something called the Warhammer End Times, which is meant to be this big climactic conclusion, a moving forwards of the Warhammer Fantasy story. And they released new source books. They released new rules. You could for one of the first times in history of the game, you could combine armies. You could have Chaos army, and you could have an undead army, or Skaven and undead. And I was a Skaven player myself, little ratman. I love my little rat dudes. And you could combine them, and it was encouraging bigger and bigger battles. You to buy more and more minis to celebrate this moving forward of the Warhammer storyline for the first time in the history of the game. And it was so exciting. We had new novels, we had new source books, limited run source books. You really had to get out there and buy them right away. And it was a really exciting time to be a Warhammer player. And then they killed it. After encouraging Warhammer players to spend more and more money on the game, to celebrate this moving forwards, to buy new product, to buy armies that they wouldn't have done otherwise, they killed the game. Because it was all just a scam to get rid of as much of their existing stock as possible before they killed it. And that is something, like, Games Workshop has done a lot of shitty stuff. That is the kind of abuse of your customers that I can never support. And that is why I've got a couple of Warhammer 40k armies, small ones, so I enjoy painting the models, but like that is why I could never get into Warhammer Old World. I could never get into Sigma, because that is a wound that will never heal. So, but BattleTech's never pissed me off. Even during the Clicky Tech era, I still enjoyed it. So let's focus on this. What have we done? Scenarios. So you guys are probably familiar with this now. We do it's a preset process. We say what the problem is, what we've done to fix it, and any ancillary information. Scenarios weren't starting if salvage was skipped. And it was due to a wonky additional. And you don't really need to say a lot, we fixed it. It is, however, a critical bug, and it is a blocker. It's fine, not a blocker, it's fine. But it is critical because this is like one of the most important things in MekHQ. If you can't start scenarios, it's not so much of a BattleTech game as it is mech sims. Arcane Hermit saying they're more into indie Zweihander if I did a take on Warhammer but hey nostalgia. I think we're in the fortunate position that the last edition of Warhammer was actually relatively solid. So if you wanted to continue playing Warhammer Fantasy, you could just that edition. But there are other options for Warhammer Fantasy-like games. But the thing that I feel like captures the attention of so many people is the world of Warhammer Fantasy. Similar to people really enjoy the setting of Warhammer 40k. And you can have the game, but if you don't have the world, it's just not as exciting. Radar says one thing they like about BattleTech is that they use proxies, and they don't know how it works in Warhammer 40k. In Warhammer 40k, for example, it used to be, I can't say if it still is, it used to be referred to as what you see is what you get. Every weapon that a character had needed to be represented on the model. So if they had a plasma gun, that model had to have a plasma gun. If they were a Space Marine, a super special shiny Space Marine, it had to be the super special shiny Space Marine model. GW used to, again, I don't know if they still do, like you weren't allowed to use proxies. All right, so that's that problem solved. Did I correctly do that? Yes, I did. So this line here, fix number, this means that this case will be automatically closed when this is merged. Blessner says they still do that and they've removed almost all customization. Yeah, no, that tracks. That tracks. So this is a really fun idea. If anybody's seen the advanced surgery procedure menu, it allows you to add prosthetics and stuff like that to your characters. The request here is to add, if you had to click on the paper doll, the person and to change it. That's something we're not going to do today, but it's an interesting idea. This is a fun bug. It turns out if you do an advanced surgery, and here's the advanced surgery screen, boop. If the person dies in surgery, you can just keep mutilating them until they are more machine than man, but still a corpse. So how about we address that? Now, advanced surgery is one of the things that I made, so I know how to access it. Radar comments that some RimWorld level shit there with that bug. Yeah, no, I love I love some of the weird shit that happens in MekHQ. The clown car bug, Dr. Baby. Babies, of course, so many problems over the years. Those are the two that immediately come to mind. The clown car bug was a lot of fun. I am just checking. Okay. If person is alive, it's dead. Get status. I'm in the wrong screen. Boop. Oh god, everything's on wonky now. Go away. Get status. Is dead. There we go. So now we're going to get all the selected patients, and if any of them are dead, we're just going to skip over them. So that solves it there. However, that is not the only place where advanced surgery can be accessed. Boop. I'm just going to add this in here. And we're also going to add a little report as well. So what are we gonna do here? Can we get access to campaign? And if I get campaign, let me see here. We're gonna get the campaign. going to find another instance of add report so I can just copy the homework. Because one of the things that I'm in the fortunate position of, because I know the code base so well, it's relatively easy for me to just remember where I've seen the code and just jump to that. Now this is public-facing text. Now our current policy, so this is very old, but our current policy is that all public-facing text must be in a resource bundle. So let's jump there. Boop. I mean, that's a little, really. You can't perform surgery on the dead person because they're dead. So we want get formatted text at, I'm going to call the resource bundle. This is the string, and the key is going to be, and I'll explain this code in just a moment. It's a person, select a person. Now this isn't going to work out the box. We're going to need to do some stuff. That's okay. We can manage stuff. We're very good at managing stuff here. And again, I will explain this. Person medical. Let's go medical. So what this is saying is get this text from this resource bundle. We'll fix that in a second. And where it has a dynamic key, replace the dynamic key, the first one, with the person's hyperlinked full title. And the dynamic key is represented by this. So you can have as many of these dynamic keys as you want, but you need to make sure you enter something for those dynamic keys, otherwise it breaks. However, it looks like this is using the old resources. So we actually need to break this out and use it to set it up as a resource bundle. Now I can never remember how to set up resource bundles, so bear with me. Is it literally just that? Is it really that simple? Yeah, I really have no excuse for forgetting how to use resource bundles. Oh, okay. This is actually even better. So we don't need to use the resource bundle at all. Clap, 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 clap. Because this is stored in the UI resource bundle. This is a resource bundle. It is a bundle of resources. Because it's stored there, rather than calling that's a resource bundle, like we have done, boop, we can just say get text. And that will do the exact same thing. Now if we go over to the infirmary tab, because again, we're just duplicating ourselves here. And this time it's called person, not selected person. Now something I like to do is I do prefer to have the true conditional first. So we just need to switch these around. Now we'll go back to personal tab, boop. And we're just going to switch these around as well. I don't know if it's just something I picked up, or it's a personal preference thing. It is probably the tism, but I'm very autistic, as I'm sure none of you have ever noticed. There we go. So now if they're dead, it's going to tell you, hey, of this person, they're dead. But if they're not dead, it's going to take you to the new dialogue. Now I might need to do this again, so bear with me, because I want to just double check that all the places that we're calling this are being accounted for. And we're also getting a bit of repetitive code, so we might need to switch that out. that's the actual dialogue itself. Okay, so that's full. So that's actually all done. Why are you showing us an error? Oh, it's just deprecated. Okay, that's fine. Radar says, damn it, Jim, I'm a neck doctor, not a necromancer. Okay, I'm just double checking this. I wonder. This really is repetitive. It's fine. It's fine. Let's go ahead and launch MekHQ and see if we can add a wooden peg leg to a dead person. What's the line from Dawn of War? Even in death, I still serve. That's one thing you can say about real-time strategy games. They always universally have the best unit speech comments. And I really think it comes back down to Warcraft 3. I think Warcraft 3 really popularized the concept of having fun speech lines when you select a unit. Fred says, new to MekHQ, the ability to taxidermy your dead. Funny you should say that. I really want to add a memorial that you can go and have a list of all the dead people and little comments next to them. That's something I actually really want to add. Okay, let's pick a victim. I think we may need to be in... Actually, we can check that. Do we have advanced surgery? We do have advanced surgery. So let's pick you. So first up, we're going to go and select 2 people. I'm going to go advanced surgery. I'm going to cancel out of it, but this should launch 2. 1, 2. Okay. Now if we murder one of them. Oh, actually, we need to go to all personnel, not... Okay, if we murder one of them. There we go. Yes, we want to murder them. Okay, so they're now dead. So now when we select it, we should only get 1 advanced surgery pop up, and we should have the command center notice. Alrighty, we're getting none popping up. Alright, so that tells me that something is not right. Yeah, so it is incorrectly thinking they are both dead. So let's close out of this and go back to... Oh, I'm in the wrong screen. Yeah, no, I strike again. So let's see how I bodge this up. For person gets selected payment. If person is dead, do this. I know what I've done. No, it looks like I did it properly. If person is dead, do this. If person is not dead, do this. Why then does it think that... here we go. Here's the mistake. We're calling the wrong person. There we go. Just double check we're doing the same here. Person. Okay, so this should work now. Radar says the memorial would be cool. Their group has a channel in the Discord that is memorial for the dead. Gets kind of long when the infantry dies. Blessed says, this is why I can never learn programming. Everything is in one place, requiring one thing only once. Yeah, I will say that there are very few people in the world that could not learn to program. But you definitely need to accept some weird things that after you've been doing it for long enough, they stop being weird, they're just normal. And yeah, it's you definitely get used to it. And programming is nowhere nearly as complicated as people think. So, both are alive. We should get 2 dialogues. 1, 2. You are dead. You have died from death. So now we should get one dialogue and a notice in the command center. One dialogue. And a notice in the command center. Let's go to the infirmary. I don't think dead people show up in the infirmary, so we can't really test that. But what we can do is we can test to see if... Okay, so infirmary. Click on them. Advanced surgery. There we go. Okay, so that works. I'm on the wrong screen. You'll just have to trust me, it works. I'm sorry. I've literally, this is my second week ever of streaming, and I'm just awful. And if by some miracle you'd like to hit the follow button for these high quality streams, where only the finest of entertainment is, please hit the follow button. It's always appreciated. Reda says the only time machine programming is extremely complicated is when you're doing machine level coding, i.e. you're writing CPU instructions by hand instead of using higher level coding languages. Yeah. And there is very few instances where you need to do that, and MegaMek is not one of them. Hey, we're just gonna have fun with the commit title. I'm just checking. Mr. Roboto, that's the correct one. I'm also, it's always worth me to be mindful of the fact that I am also in the privileged position of I have the type of autism that makes me very well suited to programming. So I do have to be mindful of that, that I am in a very privileged position. I have not only the time to work on MekHQ full-time, but I also have the kind of brain that is well suited to programming. I have a digital brain for a digital age. So we're fixing this. Boopity boop. Fixaroo. Get rid of this. Pop it up here. So again, we identify the problem, we identify the solution, we add any ancillary information. So the problem here is there's no filter on dead people preventing advanced surgeries from being performed on them. This would result in potentially infinite hits. At some point you have to accept hamburger meat is not a person. And in the solution, there we go. So we're going to mark this as a bug. It's a personnel bug, and it's low. It's low. It's not going to hurt anything if you turn dead pirates into hamburger meat with robotic arms sticking out, because they're dead. It's not going to affect the game. So it's definitely a low-level bug, but it was a fun one. So that was on my radar. Flesher says they're a simple mind. They can use tech, they can break tech, they cannot understand tech, but trains or tanks, they can figure those out quickly. I never had the train autism. I was a dinosaur kid. Even now, if a museum has a dinosaur section, I am there. I am there. And whenever I move to a new city, the first thing I do is see if their local museum has dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are just incredibly cool. I have dinosaur posters up on my wall. I have dinosaur t-shirts. My shark, I have to take weekly injections, and my shark box where the needles go in is covered in dinosaur stickers. Because dinosaurs are just cool. Okay, see, SPA chart settings not working as intended. Let's have a look what's going on here. Okay, so it seems that the generation for SPAs just isn't working. PS359 asks, so what happens now if you try to operate on a killed in action? You can't select them or you get an error message? You can select them. You can go to advanced surgeries, but rather than showing up the advanced surgery dialogue, it will just put a little note in the daily report saying, hey, you can't perform surgeries on this person, they're dead. The reason why I did it that way is because I didn't want to have a situation where you select multiple people and one of them happens to be dead, and now you can't perform advanced surgeries on the people who are alive. So now you can perform advanced surgeries on those that are alive. It's just going to skip over the people who are dead and just give you a notification saying, hey, Sergeant Barry's dead, man. You can't put a peg leg on a dead person. At least not through the advanced surgeries dialogue. You can in GM mode. You can do what you want in GM mode. PS359 says, right, it could botch up first. Yeah, and we don't want to do that. And we tested it, it all works as it should. Okay, so this bug report's really detailed. It's just basically telling us that the random SPAs might not be working as intended. So let's investigate. Boop. And don't forget, if you're joining us recently, you can hit follow if you're enjoying me blabbering on. And tonight, you can check the channel schedule for when we have our ongoing MekHQ campaign, our second episode. That's going to be a lot of fun. We also have a YouTube channel, which might be linked somewhere. I think I linked it. I keep forgetting to check. And that's where you can get access to all the VODs, in case you miss an episode. I haven't uploaded yesterday's stream yet because I needed a lazy morning this morning. I was up very late last night working. So this is where we're fetching the special ability bonus. And this is getting it. Are we setting it? We are setting it correctly. So we now know it is definitely being set in get correctly. So it comes here. So where is this being called? Number abilities? Alright. So if you're using abilities, generate a special ability generator. Number of abilities is roll special abilities modified by the bonus. The roll is less than 10, return 0. If the roll is under 12, return 1. Otherwise, return 2. So that looks good. What we're going to do, we're going to try and identify whether the issue is we're fetching the bonus incorrectly, or whether it's just being weird. So we're going to comment out that line, and we're going to arbitrarily add ourselves in a modifier. So with this set, every character should have 2 SPAs. Should. So let's run. We're going to generate ourselves some people. Hey King Mal, glad you could make it to the chat. King Mal, actually, I'm going to be showing it off later during the Scriptorious Bast stream later tonight, but King Mal is actually the first person in the history of the channel to create some fan art. We got some fan art of one of the characters that we'll be including in the campaign. Which I'll be honest, I was incredibly touched. I was showing it off to anybody who would listen in real life. I was incredibly touched to receive that. So right now, MekHQ, which I haven't switched over to, boop, it should, whenever we generate an adult human, it should give them 2 SPAs. If it doesn't, there's a conflict somewhere. And that wouldn't surprise me. MekHQ is a very old piece of tech, and so you tend to find systems can sometimes conflict with each other. So we're going to bulk hire. Big skill shouldn't matter. We're going to do it to regular. We're going to make sure they're definitely an adult, and we're going to generate ourselves. Let's go for 100 mech warriors. Now, all of these 100 mech warriors should have 2 SPAs. I believe if we go down to buff information, other, it's other. Okay, so everybody has 2 SPAs. That's good. That's what we want. We are now going to get rid of everybody. Shoo. We're now going to go into campaign options. And we're going to set it up so that, again, everybody should have we go higher than 10? We can. We go to 12. So with this setting, everybody should continue to have 2 SPAs. So advanced setting. So this is now saving. So we're going to close out of here. We're going to go back to IntelliJ. And we're going to remove the override that we added. So we're now going to comment out this. And we're going to add in this. I'm going to run. And again, this should now cause, if this is working correctly, every character should have 2 SPAs. So again, we're just going to go into bulk hire. Big skill rating shouldn't matter, but we're going to keep it consistent. We're going to generate ourselves 100 mech warriors. But we definitely do not want 1,100. That's too many mech warriors. Alrighty, so this proves something is wrong, because these should all have 2. So let's go into campaign options, and we're just going to verify that our campaign options have saved correctly. Because if they haven't saved correctly, that would make sense for this. So again, we set all the campaign options to have a +12 modifier to SPA generation. And that should still be there. Okay, so this is correct, but it's not generating. So let's close out here. We're now going to need to investigate. So one thing I want to do, I want to let the OP know that they are correct. There is a problem. And we're going to assign ourselves. Let's give them a little comment. We can mark it as a bug. I think this is actually a high bug, because this is severely impacting personnel. There we go. And it just reassures the OP that we are in fact investigating their problem. Now, we know the problem is something to do with this, because when we replaced this getter with 999, it worked. How about we find out what we're actually returning? I'm going to pass in that instead. And for our sanity, let's go ahead and make some breakpoints. Oh, wrong one. I need to start in debug mode, which is the red bug. I think I've asked this on stream before, but how long have you all been playing BattleTech? isn't loaded up yet. So I'm just stretch out my shrimp spine. I really need to start doing pre-stream stretches because I kind of look a bit like a mole just hunched over my desk. And it's not good for my spine. The problem is I don't have one of those rising desks, and I am a very tall human, and so everything's lower. PSP Finance says they've been playing since 1985. They're old. Yeah, that's definitely been playing longer than me. Okay. Why are we... Oh, these are generating for something. Why are they generating something? Oh, I accidentally clicked new campaign, didn't I? Of course I did. Bugger off you. That's the first game, 1995. Wasn't 95 the year the American Godzilla came out? Or was that Jurassic Park? Jurassic Park was 1993. American Godzilla was 1998. So the answer is neither of them. All right, so let's click a load of Lowe's last save this time. That shouldn't hit the breakpoints. I think Billy says late 2000s. I've seen where they lived. Yeah, I was somewhere in the region of 2010. Why are we generating SPAs when there's nobody in the campaign? Interesting. Person, unnamed person. I wonder if this is the personnel tab. Potentially this is Op 4 actually. Yeah, I'm going to switch over to IntelliJ. Right now, I'm just having to click through this, I think. Hannah says, back to let me know, and they'll whack my POs with Copilot as I see them. Much appreciated, thank you. Yeah, what's happening is because we have to create a new person, I'm guessing we create the person object and then override it with the stored values. So what's happening is because we create the person object, we're also having to create all their values. That's a really inefficient way of doing things. I hope that's not the case. We're getting a lot of unnamed persons, which does lead me to believe that is the case. Bloody hell. Go away! I just want to be in the game, damn it! But if we are wholly generating a person, that's really not a good way. But that does look like what we were doing. Okay, so now we're going to generate the people we actually care about. And this time I'm not going to generate 100 of them, because if I do that, we are going to be here until doomsday. So let's just generate one person to see what the value is. So this is a regular. So they should have a plus 12 modifier. If they do not have a plus 12 modifier, something is very broken. Boop. They have XP level 2, which should be correct. 0 is ultra green, I think. I'm going to check that because that's important. Get experience level. Experience level. Skill level, experience level. So we have a look there. So regular is experience level 3. So it is incorrectly returning 2. So it thinks it's green. So that's not a good start. unless we override it at a later date. That's potential. But right now, that's not a good start. And it believes the FPO bonus is -2, which I believe the OP actually included it in their issue report. So let's bounce there. I believe that's default value for... Yeah, that's not a default value for anything. What the devil is going on? So we are just fetching absolute nonsense. Zero, 1, 2. Okay, so it is the default value stored in the random skill preferences. So we are in fact definitely 100% getting default values. Why? That's a very good question. Why? Why are we not getting the values that we're setting when we're in campaign operations? That tells me that we are not correctly applying the values. So we're setting it, we're not doing it right. So let's have some more breakpoints. I'm gonna come out of here, and I don't want to have to go through that whole palaver again, so we're just gonna skip past these breakpoints. We can add them again later if needed, but right now we know it's not right. Now it is potentially an order operations issue. If we are attempting to assign skill preferences, and then later setting up campaign options, which at that point that assigns our replacement values, that would explain this bug. I think I failed to go into debug mode. Whoopsie doodles. There we go. There's a lot of I think and I believe in this, and the reason being is that this isn't my code, and it has in fact been a very long time since I was last here. In fact, if I click here, whoop, I was last here last year. April of last year was the last time I was in this part of the code. So it has been a while. But yeah, but going back to what Pink Bully said, they said late 2000s, no seam where they lived. When I got into BattleTech, when I finally had money to go to BattleTech, it was probably around 2010, around then. And I had one person local who enjoyed it, and they were not a good first experience. I didn't enjoy my first few games of BattleTech. Oh god, yeah, no, and Radar comments that was using my older GitHub handle with CBT back before I realized what CBT also stood for, and it's not just classic BattleTech. Okay, so this is actually, the fact that I don't think we've hit the breakpoint is really, really important, because that means when we're loading in, we're not setting the value, and that explains everything. So we're going to go back to IntelliJ. What should have happened is we should have hit this breakpoint here. That means that this, during the loading of a campaign, this never fires. So let's find out why. Okay, we can see in the advancement tab, this is looking like it should be firing. Apply campaign options to a campaign. That's good. And this is setting up campaign options. Is it possible that we're accidentally using this one, which includes a null value? Let's find out. Doesn't look like it. King Miles having a delicious chicken bacon tomato sandwich. Yeah, I was going to make spaghetti bolognese last night, but I ended up we had dinner very late, so I ended up having some fish and chips, which is probably the most British thing I've done since coming over here. So by all accounts, this should be firing. And if this is firing, we should be hitting this. The fact that we're not tells me something is seriously wrong. And I suspect we're putting in a null value in random skill preferences. So let's check. Radar had pizza for lunch. Y'all having the best stuff. Preset doesn't equal null. Get random skill preferences. Well, preset's going to equal null. Does that mean we don't get random skill preferences? Is there a campaign value to get random skill preferences? Campaign, get random skill. There it is. Okay. This might be the issue. So we're telling it to fetch the campaign skill preferences. That might work. I suspect this might be the issue. Because if we should fetch it from the preset in the event that we have a preset, otherwise we should be fetching it here. Now we might be about to hit a null pointer. That's okay. Oh, King Miles saying that they're referencing to what is definitely the alternate initialization for CBT. By the way, I've said this before, do not Google what CBT stands for in the greater wider internet, especially not when you're at work or around loved ones. Yeah, it turns out CBT does not, in fact, just stand for Classic BattleTech. Though, what would be more appropriate than having CBT attached to working on this project? Let's see if it works. Still didn't hit that. Oh no, we didn't hit it because I'm dumb. I'm so sorry, team. I keep forgetting to go into debug mode. Boop. We're near the weekend. I'm not very good at taking days off, but I do try and take at least a little bit easier on the weekend. I play some Final Fantasy 14. I played some Final Fantasy 11. I've been playing through Subnautica 1 recently. I never completed Subnautica 1, and with the sequel being in early access, alas, it's not on PlayStation 5, so I can't play it. I figured now is a good time as any to play Subnautica 1 and Below Zero. Okay, so here we still didn't hit our breakpoint. That's really concerning that we're not hitting this breakpoint, and I don't understand why. Because by all accounts, we should hit this. If we're setting the ability bonus, we should hit the breakpoint. We've got 7 uses, so I think what we need to do now is we need to we're going to put a breakpoint here. We're going to confirm that we are in fact hitting this, at least. King Mole says they probably should eat some food though. Yes, absolutely. I always have a protein drink with me when I'm streaming, and you should always try to have at least 2 meals a day, preferably 3. It's good for the soul. But I also get it. Sometimes getting meals and everything, it can be difficult. So we're not always in a position to treat our bodies the best way. But we should try at least. And as I say many times, all anybody can ask for is that you try your best. And right now we are trying our best to fix this pesky bug. Okay. So I'm Switch over to IntelliJ. Are we hitting this breakpoint? What? So the fact that we're not hitting this breakpoint is very concerning. Because ostensibly that means none of these options are firing. Now we know that's not true. Is there another place that we're applying campaign options to campaign? Let's find out. No. Is there an option that we know works? And that's a good question. So, random skill preferences. I'm reasonably certain that randomized skills works. So is it just a case that our breakpoints aren't working? So let's just add a smattering of breakpoints there. We're going to close out of MekHQ, and we're going to rerun in debug mode. Boop. The good news is the fact that this bug has taken so long to come to surface means most people use the default values anyway, so if we can't fix this before 51 comes out, we should be able to. It's not the end of the world. If it is a bigger problem, more people have commented about it. Still not hitting that breakpoint. Let's try something else. We're going to go into campaign options, and we're going to just apply campaign options and see if that hits it. So hit apply. There we go. Okay. So this is only firing when we apply to campaign options. I think we have potentially an entire method missing. So we're going to go back into campaign options, IntelliJ rather. So we now know that this does in fact fire. Apply campaign options to, let's just reverse this. For applying campaign options to campaign, okay, what's a little bit? This is setting up the tabs themselves. Trigger upgrade freebies. Inoculate all characters. Inoculate. Reset. I think really the next thing we need to do is have a look at loading in the code campaign. Maybe the mistakes there. Campaign XML parser. Boop. Alrighty. So first we create the campaign. We're looking for is just seeing where we're assigning stuff. So custom, campaign options, game options, that's all being added. We've set campaign options being generate campaign options from XML. Boop. Because I'm reasonably confident that these options are stored within the campaign options. But we're going to just keep that to one side for now. Random skill preferences. Okay, so it's not stored within campaign options. Campaign set random skill preferences. Boop. It's just assigning that. Generate random skill preferences from XML. Is this the mistake-o? Actually, we can do one better. What we're going to do, we're just going to find out if we're even hitting this. And this will tell us if we're, like, for example, we could be storing this incorrectly in the SPA. So let's just hit that. Now, when we load the campaign, we should hit this. Ooh, it's taking a couple of moments. I've got about 2 hours left on stream, and I'll be taking a break to make my family dinner, and then we can have our Scriptorious Bastard adventures. Okay, so we can now confirm we are definitely hitting this. So this is firing. Ooh, this is firing. So let's go ahead and pop into this. And now we know this is definitely firing. It's going to give us a chance to investigate. And there we have what looks like. Okay, so we are checking for special ability bonus. Okay, so that is correct. Now the next question is, are we hitting it? So now we're going to bump into MekHQ again, and we're going to see if we're going to hit this. Oh, I'm in the wrong one. We're going to see if we hit this new breakpoint. And then actually, if you weren't aware, breakpoint is just basically telling the code, hey, stop when you hit here, so I can check it over. The next stage will be actually breaking open the campaign file and just seeing what the values are. I should have done that earlier, but we can do it now. Boop. Okay, so we're hitting this one. That's good. And we are hitting here. Oh, sorry, beg your pardon. We're hitting both our breakpoints. For my computer, it automatically switched back to the IDE, so I keep forgetting. But special ability bonus, no. That's a thing. So apparently special ability bonus is no. Oh dear. So, hey Faceman, Faceman, afternoon. Glad you could join the stream. So that it's returning as null. Where, oh where? I think this is the right save. Let's take a look and see what's going on. So if we're hitting here and it's null, what is actually stored? It is correctly storing the values. Why then is it null? We're not hitting any other breakpoints. Just loading through. So for some reason, it is failing to read in these values. It's basically becoming null. But why? Why though? I'm going to boot it up one more time. I want to get another look at this. I'm not going to switch to MekHQ because I'm literally just clicking load last save. Viceman says everything closed up. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Oh, you mean has it got the closing brackets? Yes, but that says that's worth double checking. Yeah, everything is good there. The file's not itself malformed. So we're hitting this breakpoint. We don't actually need this breakpoint anymore. So this is all down here saying there's a lot of nulls here. I don't believe that is correct. Okay, so we are correctly storing these values. So we have an array of 12s. That is correct. So what we're going to do now, don't know if live editing of code works here, but. So I might have to relaunch to see this. Buttocks, I want to see what it's actually passing. It is passing 0. Okay, no, it is correctly passing those through. Hang on a second. Why are we not hitting this? Let's just break out of our test. We're going to go back in. Why aren't we hitting this? So we have the value there. We should, by all accounts, hit here. But I'm not seeing it hit there. This is just going to allow us to kind of stick our nose in and view what's happening here. So we know this is all good. This looks like it should be good, and this looks like it should be good. We're just going to check these values and other values. Now these are just temporary things. We're not going to include those forever. We're just using that to stick our nose in and see what's happening. Because we're trying to identify right now, we know it's saving correctly. We're trying to confirm that it is in fact loading correctly. Because if it's not loading correctly, it would make sense that it would then therefore just use the default values. A little more water while we wait. And again, I'm not going to bother switching to MekHQ on your screen, just because this is what we're interested in. And all I'm doing in MekHQ is just clicking load last save. And I'd rather not skip to MekHQ than I would for you guys to miss what's happening in the IDE, because that's the more important thing right now. There's a great deal of irony here. This is causing me problems, but adding the prioritization of purchases wasn't. Okay, so we can see this is correct. And this is being hit. And now this is being hit. Where is other value hiding? Here we go. So we can see we have in fact set the first one. So now we're going to go ahead and hit place. We should now hit the next one, and these should all ultimately equal 12. If they are, we know we're loading in correctly. So I'm going to just click by a couple of times, and we're just going to check back in. So let's have a look here. Okay, so these seem to be checking in. I no longer need these. So we're just checking this. So far, so good. Breakpoints are incredibly useful. So 3 more times should do it. 1, 2, And last but not least, 3. Oh, did I not click it properly? There we go. Okay. So we can now confirm special ability bonus is being set correctly. We are loading it correctly. We are assigning it correctly. Which means either we're overriding these values for some reason at somewhere, or we're not fetching it correctly. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to click play, and we're going to see if we hit this again. So at this point, there should be no more instances of us hitting other value. And in fact, there are not. We're loading through, you can't see that, but that's okay. So now what we're going to do, we're going to revert all the changes we've made here, because these changes are irrelevant. But what we are going to do is no, we know this is correct. Okay, so we know nothing's changing that. So now we want to check the getter. Is the getter doing its job? So these values, they are being set correctly. Everything is good. We know this is fine. So that's only being hit with the advanced tab. That's okay. So my guess is that this conditional here is wonky donkey. So I'm going to risk breaking it by just removing these right now. Okay, this is intentional. This is likely to hit a null point error. That is actually an out of range error. That is okay. Right now, we're just testing to see if we can get it to work. So I will flip over to MekHQ in just a second, once it loads up, because I want you guys to be able to see if it's working or not. I could put a breakpoint here, but for us, ourselves, it's going to be relatively obvious what's happening. If we see everybody with 2 SPAs, we know it's working correctly. Now, other clues that it was loading and unloading correctly can be found in campaign options, because we were seeing that campaign options, the changes were persisting across instances. But while it added a whole bunch of extra work, we really needed to verify it was in fact being set correctly and that there wasn't some weirdness going on, because campaign options is incredibly complicated and it would be very easy for there just to be something odd. So let's go to personnel. We're going to generate ourselves. We can go for 100 here because we haven't got any breakpoints. Age range, you want regular. So these 100 should have 2 SPAs. And we can immediately see that they do not, in fact, have 2 SPAs. So something is very, very wrong. So now we're going to have a look at the instances where we're calling get ability bonus. Okay. So put our breakpoint here. We're going to quickly revert our changes there because we don't want to have old changes polluting anything. I'm just thinking, so bear with me. Are we perhaps not setting this correctly? That would also make sense if we weren't setting this correctly. That, in fact, looks like exactly what we're doing. I think I found the issue. We are creating a new instance of random skill preferences. This should, in fact, be fetching it from campaign. I think. I do think we may have found the culprit here. So campaign, get rando skill preferences. That should be good. This again should be getting, if we're just creating a brand new instances, we're not loading in any of the changes and settings we've got. We're creating a new default skill generator. Is it possible for us to get... Doesn't look like it's possible for us to fetch an existing one. Maybe it lives in here. No, it doesn't. Okay. That is fine. I suspect now, though, we're going to see it working. So I'll move us over to MekHQ once it loads up. But I think that's the issue, because what we're doing is we're substantiating a brand new instance of random skill preferences, and as a result, we are just ignoring any changes to random skill preferences that we previously had set, which is why it's using the default values. That's my theory. It's my game theory. And if that is the case, this bug has been in the game for a very, very long time. Very, very long. Because this code predates me by years. But again, I suspect that so many people just don't change their SPA chances. But they never noticed. So let's give ourselves 100 mech warriors, same age range. The reason why we're fixing these values, age range isn't as important. We're fixing regular because we don't want that influencing anything. We want to try and reduce the number of variables. Boop. Ta-da! So we have, in fact, we found the issue. The issue was that we were incorrectly instantiating a brand new instance rather than using the one that we had stored in campaign. Well, that's just the way it goes, really. You kick the can, you hunt down high and low, trying to get to the bottom of this, and it turns out to be something bloody stupid. So we're just going to make sure that all our changes are, in fact, correct. And then we're not... I don't mind that we've added this line in. I think that's actually good. But we're just making sure we've not got any of our playtest options still in. Doesn't look like it. We're now going to hit test, and I keep hitting the wrong button. It's like the purple, it just attracts me. Let's hit test all. And what we're doing is just making sure there isn't any tests that are going to immediately break. This is going to take a few moments. So while we're just waiting, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm always happy to talk about programming, MekHQ, games design, anything whatsoever. And if you don't have any questions, that's okay too. But while we're waiting for this to load, if you are enjoying the stream and haven't already, please consider hitting that follow button. It helps the channel out a lot and means that you'll get notified whenever we go live. We go live 4 times a week for live dev streams like this one. And that is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Friday. And then Friday evening we get the Scrotorious Bastards. And Scrotorious Bastards are our ongoing MekHQ campaign. Kraylin, thank you so much for the follow. I'm glad you're enjoying the stream. Are you my mic seems to be a bit weird. Are you, Kraylin? Are you a MekHQ regular, or are you recently finding the projects? If you're not shy and don't want to talk, that is. Actually, that's a really good question for the rest of you. I know how long you've been playing for playing BattleTech. How long have you guys been playing MegaMek? Would it be that MekHQ or MegaMek itself? Man, thank you so much for the follow. As with Kraylin, I'm really glad you're enjoying the stream. When I started these streams, I really didn't think anybody was going to be that interested. So it really warms my heart to know that people do enjoy what I do. We even picked up some subscribers, and I'll be honest, that is something I never expected. Vorpal Flatefish has been around since it first came out. Yes, I can recognize your name. I recognize your name very well. I know you've been around longer than I have. Flessar says, future request. The option to turn on machine gun, autocannon, rapid fire. Can it be a sticky option, as you have to re-enable it for every mission on every vehicle and mech? Interesting. Theoretically, Flessar, yes, I can see how it could be done. However, I am a MekHQ dev primarily. The best thing you can do is open up an RFE on the MegaMek GitHub. An RFE is a request for enhancement. You can go on the MekHQ official Discord, just type exclamation mark issues, all lowercase, and it'll give you the full instructions. And then that will take you through it. But I definitely recommend create an issue for that, because that's a really, really good request, and I would love to see it done. I just can't promise that I personally will be able to do it, just because my knowledge of the MegaMek, the scenario side of things, is very limited. I'm very much the campaign gal. Ascos Man says they've been playing ATB for a bit when Quill's L18 put out a video covering it years ago. Oh, wow. Well, that is a name. That's another name I have not heard in a very long time. But just got back into playing more MekHQ this year. Yeah, so I hope you're enjoying all the changes. I think it's an understatement to say that MekHQ today is not MekHQ that was around back when Quill 18 was still kicking about. It has changed a lot. Yeah, MekHQ has become a very, very different beast. I feel like 2020 was one of the big years. The introduction of HPS BattleTech really made people interested in the people side of the campaign, and so that's when one of the previous developers started introducing a lot of the systems that I then went and built on. So if you're recently joining the stream, I just make you aware that you're probably just wondering, why are we just waiting? If you look in the bottom left-hand corner here, we are running some tests because we've recently just fixed a bug, and we just want to run the automated tests just to make sure that it is in fact not breaking all the tests. And if it's breaking all the tests, we can cry, because tests are bad. No, tests are really good, they're just really annoying. And it's all successful, so we have fixed our buggeroo. Hooray! Clap, 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 clap. Astroman says, yeah, you had to generate your company entirely manually back then. Not just manually, you had to use the spreadsheet. Like, it wasn't even a case of just going into MekHQ and fiddling some buttons. You had the whole ATB spreadsheet that was whether it was up to date or not, it very quickly ran out of date. But yeah, the old ATB spreadsheet. That was a good spreadsheet. Radar says they've been playing MegaMek for roughly a year and a half, back when 49.x was rough. No. We did a lot over the last probably 2 years now to really improve the performance of MekHQ. There's a particular. What have I done here? Oh no, I've buggered it, chat. How do I put this back? Oh no. Well, we're just no, I want it back in the sidebar. Oh no. My docs, my precious docs. Minimize? Nope. Well, we'll just slide this over here. Fudge. Fudge. Kira says they've just got here and Illiani's literally fighting the UI. Yeah, no. I didn't even know when I did that. There's got to be an option here. Expand. Give me a docs option. Doc pinned. Hey, we fixed it. And can you not double click to the top bar? Let's break it again and find out, because that'd be a good way to know in future. Oh, now it's gone. That was a mistake. It's gone now. Oh my god. Bring it back. Oh wait, have I just... Oh my god. It's back again. We're not fucking with this anymore. Okay, this is it, gang. It's staying there. It's not being played with again. I wonder if there's a way to lock my docs. I'm not seeing it immediately. Not even the IntelliJ UI is kind to me. I've completely forgot what we're doing. Okay, we tested. We're good. We are fixed the bug. Well, my spelling is fantastic as always. Okay. It's random preferences. Do. Oh no, I'm working in main. No, that's a dangerous thing. I'm really hoping to go as long as possible without having to show you guys how to unfuck main. Because it is a tedious process. It's fine if you only ever click commit, it's very easy. If you accidentally ever click commit and push, which is the devil's button, unfucking main is a pain in the ass. And if I never have to show you folks how to do it, I will be happy. I will be very happy to never have to show you how to unfuck main. Pink Bully said, show me how to fix merge conflicts in terminal. Nah, I'm good. I'm good. I have a UI and I'm gonna use it. We don't live in the dark ages anymore. We have a user interface. We're allowed to use it. The code gods have given us permission. Gonna screw with the Safari. Radar says, unfucking main, that's a pain in the ass to undo. Yes, it really, really is. Considering how easy it is to do, there really should be an easier way to do it, but as soon as you hit push, you're locked in, and it is just a pain in the whatsits. We're just doing one last check, making sure we're doing everything as we should do. Yes. We're describing the problem. Radar says coding on main is like drawing on the background layer when doing art. Yes, it is. Bug personnel. I'm gonna mark this as high because this is another one that really impacts the player experience, because this means that for SPAs none of your changes are applying, and it potentially was affecting other things as well. We just know it was definitely affecting SPAs. So there we go, another boog down the hole. Bug. Let's just take a quick moment to recollect ourselves. I am going to step away from the computer very briefly to get myself some water. I won't be long. We had the old timer going. Back in just a moment. And I'm back. Welcome back, everybody. Let's just stop the Tina. Goodbye, Tina. And head back to... No, let's go to Safari. So we need to fix a new bug out the queue. And the queue is never ending. So while I was taking a quick break, I already identified the next one I want to deal with. This is this no point error after selecting personnel imported from PSX failed. So we already know what the issue is here. It's if you don't export a person's family at the same time that you export the person, it is going to break. So we're going to assign ourselves. We already know this is a bug. It's affecting personnel. Bug. I'm going to mark it as relatively low, just so we'll mark it as medium. Medium seems like a good one. Okay. So the good thing here is we already have the error message. The error message is going to tell us everything that we need to know. The return value of personnel person get pre-nominal is null. We are looking to get relative name. So let's flip over. Import relatives bug. Now, if you, yeah, because the problem is we need to be really careful because we don't want importing to completely break relationships. That would be really bad. And we are looking for person view panel 1916. There's 1914. And there's 1916. Oh, thank you. Oop. All right, so this has no null protection. This assumes that relative is not null. How are we storing this? We're storing as a person object. Install on GitHub? No, we should be on IntelliJ now. Oh, sorry, ignore me. Stream chat looked like it refreshed. And so I thought that was a new message. So I think what we need to do to start off with is we need to add some null protection in, because all of these former spouses and everything can return null, and that is the root problem. Oh God, this is not ideal. What we don't want to have to do is every time we fetch relative, we have to. Maybe we can do filtering down and get genealogy. So let's go to genealogy, see if because we need to add some null protection here. Yeah, this is going to be a problem. Because we have so many instances where we're calling this, but we don't have any null protection. We're always assuming that if you've got a former spouse, for example, we are also going to have that person in the campaign. If that person doesn't exist, if that person's null, then it's going to break. The problem is we can't just say when we're setting up the genealogy, check if person's null, skip them. Because if you're importing the characters, the relative might be imported after the original person. Right, what we can do is we can do post import. If we do post import validation. So I'm going to open up MekHQ because I want to see what we're working with here. And so what we're going to do, we're going to, during the import process, when you're importing personnel, we are going to assume that all personnel genealogies are valid. Then, once we've finished importing all personnel, we are then going to go back through each personnel and just validate the genealogies. That'll work. And that'll mean we'll have the least amount of changes necessary. Okie dokie. Yeah, no, now I've got a plan. Now we've got a plan. Alright, yeah. Now we're thinking with portals. Because the thing is, even when you're bug busting, the golden ideal, the golden rule, is to try and make as few changes as possible to elicit the change that you want. And the reason for this is, A, it makes it easier for people to review. If it's a smaller PR, pull request, then it's easier to review. The other thing is, the fewer changes you make, the less likely you're going to break other stuff. And when you're dealing with a project this old, I don't want to describe it as spaghetti code because that makes it sound like it was very poorly written. It wasn't necessarily poorly written, but it's just a very old project. And as a result, it's very easy for one change that seems completely innocent to break a whole bunch of things. And that's what we want to avoid. We do that by just aiming to make as few changes as possible. It looks like staging data files is having to rebuild. That's really frustrating. Because that's going to take a couple of minutes, but that's fine. Radar says, no, Space Station 13 is spaghetti code. MegaMek is just old code. Yeah. Now the thing is, MegaMek is written... there's been a lot of volunteers for the project over the years that are not professional developers. And I was among them. I was not a professional developer when I joined the project. I taught myself how to program to contribute to MegaMek. MekHQ specifically. And as a result, there is some badly written code. And badly written is probably the wrong way to say it. Naively written. It was written by people who didn't know all of the options available to them, and so made choices that were not necessarily the most efficient. And that's not it's not an indictment on the contributors themselves. That's just how it works sometimes. You can't be a senior developer without being a junior developer first. You need to give yourself the time to make those mistakes and learn those lessons. Radar says they had a full toolbox but didn't use most of the tools like they should have. Yeah. And not necessarily because they're bad programmers, just because they didn't necessarily know, including myself, we didn't necessarily know those tools existed. If I were to go back and remake MekHQ from scratch, I would have it use events a lot more than I would... Oh, I'm clicking the wrong buttons. Than I would to... Because right now we barely use events. And events are really cool things. They're basically, when an event happens, it sends out a signal. And I'm grossly simplifying. It sends out a signal, and anything that subscribes to that event will then do its thing. It will then do that thing. But we don't really use them. And yeah, Pinkbully's pointing out, events are amazing. Events are truly, truly amazing. They are witchcraft. But whether they just weren't used very often back when MegaMek was first started, or maybe the developer at the time didn't really think about it. I feel like event-based programming is a little bit more recent than 24 years ago. But it means that MegaMek just isn't really utilizing events. And that if I was to rewrite MekHQ from scratch, which God I hope I don't, that is one of the first changes I'll make. So we are personnel from PRSX. Switch over to that. Personnel from PRSX. We're just trying to grok our way. Person? Let's check the spelling. We are importing Personnel from A. There we go. Because I want to see where this code is so I can identify the best place to slide in our geology validation. Boop. Alrighty. So this loads the person file. Boop. Boop, I say. Thank you. Okay, so this is the whole process that goes through and sets it all up. Alright, alright. We can work with this. Aha! Fix spouse ID information. This is required to fix spouse no point errors when one doesn't export both members of the couple. Whoops-a-doodles. So this is basically, this is here in an attempt to fix the issue. So I'm just, I'm not being particularly interesting. I'm just reading through how they're currently doing it. Okay. So let's look at genealogy. What are we working with here? We're looking at family relationships, and we've got a map of family relationships and person. Okay. So really, if we grab family, we can then validate everybody in the family's real. But we have specific callouts to spouse and origin spouse and former spouse. So these are the culprits. These are the main culprits. I'm going to double check to see if this perhaps has some filtering in place. But these ones are the baddies. So coming over here. First of all, single letter variable name. We don't like those. We can also cache genealogy. No point in doing get genealogy 500,000 times. You might ask, Illiani, why don't you like single letter variable names? And I will confess it is a bit of a holy war for me. I really don't like them. And the reason being is this. Let's think here. So this is just a very basic, so you can imagine there's like a class here with a variable name, and it's C times unit get crew size. So we know that C is being multiplied by the crew size. That's easy enough. But what the hell does C mean? In many cases, C means campaign. C also sometimes means character. C can mean anything. You have to look at the context clue. So the problem is, if you compare that to, and this is based, go away. This is based on an actual real piece of code that I discovered. And you want to know what C was in that example? Let's rename it to a more readable variable name. It was battle armor count. C was battle armor count. So we don't like single letter or abbreviated variable names because it doesn't immediately tell you what the various variables about. And you have to think, like, back if we were in professional development, there'd be documentation, all the fancy stuff. We don't have that. So there's a high chance that whoever wrote the code is not going to be the person maintaining it. So we want to make things as easy as possible. So genealogy never should be null. That should never return null. But let's see. We want to just jump this over to the right to make it easier to reference. So we're going to fetch a few different things. One, we're going to fetch origin. This is going to be equal to genealogy, origin. We're also going to want spouse. And we're also going to want boomer spouse. Breda says variable names should honestly be written at least 3 letters, if not more. No, in modern computing, there is no longer a need for single letter variable names. We're not working in C anymore. The amount of time difference it takes for the compiler to pass former spouses and FS, for example, it's not even going to move the meter. You will not notice any impact. Now, if we were back in the day where 128 bytes of RAM was a lordly amount, or however much, then yes, it absolutely made a difference back in the days of C. But we don't live in the dark ages anymore. So now we're going to do a lot of ifs. If origin doesn't equal no, we're going to need to do a thing. So if person equals null, how are we doing so here? We're doing a bunch of ifs and what? I'm not entirely sure. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do. That's why my sentence got a bit clipped. Pinkbully says, still makes sense writing programming my computers. This is true, but MegaMek is not being programmed for a microcomputer. Rena says that joke flew right over me. Yeah. What are we returning here? We're also going to need personnel. So let's definitely cache this up here because we're going to need to reuse this. We're just going to pass in the personnel. No. Why are we only passing in active personnel? That's bad. That's absolutely not what we should be doing. That is 100% not what we should be doing. That is a bug. We need to be passing in all personnel. Because if we're only passing in active personnel and the character has a genealogy attachment to non-active personnel, it's just going to break. And I wonder if that's what's happening here, actually. If we're only protecting... BC Retribution says, just got home from work, did I miss the new feature reveal? You did, but I will make sure to show it off again before we close out for today. For those of you who missed it. Yeah, I'm wondering if that is actually the root cause of the bug, but we can still try to tighten things up. So, if the origin doesn't equal null, let's check also, does all personnel contain origin? Then origin at this point has to be set. Now I do need to verify what exactly origin is used for. So let's do that now. Okay, so origin is the person who owns it. So that at least is never going to be null. Boop. So spouse instead. If former spouse, we need to loop through these. So for person, are they stored as former spouse? Yes, they are. Okay. For former spouse, let's check if it's null. Okay, I need to put a conditional here. So former spouse person doesn't equal null, and all personal does not include I do apologise that my sentences keep breaking off. I'm needing to think through this a lot because this isn't my code. In fact, I've never been into this corner of the code base. So a lot of it is just me thinking aloud. So we've got filtered and doesn't equal null, and person exists. At that point, we then add person, or specifically we add former spouse. PS359 says some of these calls are kind of funny. Funny as in haha, or funny as in busted? Get abstract code creation, yeah. Let's do this a different way. I want to try and make this a little bit clearer. That'll work. So we are going to clear former spouses, and then we're going to add all the filter. So this will filter out the former spouses. This is going to filter out the spouse. Why are you wobbling? Whatever. Still grumpy? No. So what else we need to do? We've checked through former spouses, and we've checked through origin spouses, the next one we need. And that's the person who originated the marriage, or we can do that up here. Okay, so first I'm going to check spouse, and then we're going to check origin spouse. Just checking this. We're not going to wipe the history of the marriage, so we're not going to reset their surname. we are going to reset the spouse status. Pregnancy, we do need to fix that. Okay. And I think we can probably handle this. So this looks good to me. And that's going to return null if no, that's fine, that's fine. We don't want to muck around too much. Okay, so this is going to filter this out. Now my concern is we've also got familial relationships and a bunch of people. Is there a way to just reset family? There has to be a way to reset family. Is used to remove external genetic links to a person. Because we don't want to leave dirty references in family either. I guess we could just cycle through the family and then just sever it, but that's going to be really, really ugly. No. No, that would make sense. Do that. Okay, there's a better way of doing this. There is a better way of doing this. What we are going to do is we're actually going to change the exporting process. That's what we're going to do. Rather than trying to fix this in a way that's not going to just horrifically break everything, we are changing this to get all personnel though. Because that is the smallest change necessary to ensure that this actually functions. But we are instead going to modify how we export. So let's go back to MekHQ and let's see what we can do. So first off, we need to have a bunch of people to add. So let's start a new campaign and we're going to make sure we have some genealogical ties. This is definitely turning into a bigger thing than I was expecting. It shouldn't surprise me too much. We're going to customize, and we are going to make this campaign the horniest campaign. So let's go to human resources, relationships, divorce, 1 in 2. This is the modern marriage. Inter-unit marriage chance, 1 in 2. Let's disable. Let's just take that down to 10. People are getting married 1 in 10 times. This is going to be chaos. Absolute chaos. Normal procreation chance, 1 in 5. Relationship, 1 in 5. No interest in relationships, 0. Same sex, we're going to knock this down to 0 because we want to make sure that that everybody's breeding. No interest in children chance, 0. Oh no, we need to make that super high. Accept that value? You're not. How high can we go? Ooh, it's broken it entirely now. Okay, do you accept 200? Oh god, it's broken. What? Who let you have insert? Who said you could do that? Okay. You can accept that? You are. Fantastic. Okay. So we have now made the horniest faction. This is like a hippie commune in the 70s. Radar says they're the ones that said they could. Thank you. Okay, let's generate a company and hope it just doesn't horrifically break my computer with just how much babies are being had. I will warn you, we are going to have a lot of baby notifications. In fact, I'm going to go in. Oh no, we can do it here. We can do it here. It's fine. I am going to disable baby notifications, otherwise I'm going to get RSI. No babies? I must have fucked up the settings. Oh my god, it's because everybody's getting divorced. Everybody's divorced each other. Let me just go to inactive personnel. Behold the divorcees. Behold them all. This is the modern marriage. But that's fine. That is exactly what we're looking for. So let's advance A, and half of them are going to divorce each other again. So now we want the export process. So right-click, export. Where does it live? Export personnel. So export personnel is the string key we're looking for. Let's go back to IntelliJ. So we're going to get people, and then we're going to need to loop through people. So for person, P. No, that's bad. Person. These are people. So for per person in people, we're going to create an array of people, badly, and we're going to call these relatives. So what we're going to do now, we're going to loop through every person in people, and we're going to get their family. So first we need to get their genealogy, and then we're going to need to get their family. It's a map, not a family, but that's okay. We can work with everything. This is not the greatest approach, but it's going to work. And you know what? That's good enough. For very old code where it's kind of plonked together, this is going to work. This is going to do what we need it to do. So we just need the values. Per people in family. We don't need to loop through. We can't just add all because that's going to add duplicates. So we need to do a check. If people contains, I can't spell, contains, no, we need to do a loop first. We need to, sorry, give me a second. So we need to loop through person, people, and family. If people, we don't have a contains in this, we need to convert this into a list. There is a way. There is a way to do this. But it's not contains. Aha. There's a way to do this. I might have to hit the documentation. Now, the easiest way would be to convert this into a list or a set. A set would actually be even better. But they've got a freaking stream here. Let's try and convert it into a hash set. So a hash set is perfect for our needs because it always ensures that there's only one instance of each person. You know what? This is a job for this is somewhere where the AI is actually going to be doing a lot better job than I am. So we're going to flip over. And see if Claude's speaking to me. And all I'm doing is just going to ask it to convert it into a set. So again, we will sometimes use Claude, and that's okay. So long as we're using it as a tool and we're not using it to dominate our programming. So we're just using it as a tool to convert one thing from another. This is one of the reasons why I'm not a huge fan of streams. And it's because it makes it difficult to instantly pass what we're doing. Honestly, let's convert it into a condition. No, we'll just leave it as a stream because that is the least amount of change necessary to affect what we need. So that's going to give us our set. So we now know, we now know that everybody in this set is a unique person because a set can only have one instance of each object. So if you tried adding a single person, like we'll call him Barry Bob. If we had a set and we tried adding Barry Bob twice to the set, it would only accept the first one. The downside is that sets aren't fixed order. So if you pass through a set multiple times, it's going to give you a different order, but that's fine because we're not really fussed about order here. We just want to make sure that we only have one instance of each character. Is it put? Is it add? Add. It's add. There we go. So what this is now going to do is we're going to grab all the people that we've selected. And we are then, don't need this anymore. Oh, that works. Yes, that works. Okay. So what we're now doing, this is the more or less original code. This was telling us, hey, I collect all the people that we've selected and add them to the export list. But now we're adding this extra step where we're going to cycle through everybody in people and make sure we add their entire genealogies. We have to do this because otherwise every time someone exports, it's going to break the genealogy. And whilst this will mean that the player will be exporting more people than they want, we're going to need to warn them about that. It does protect the player, especially if they care about their character's genealogy, the character's relatives. However, because we've changed this from a array, well, this type of I forget what this type of array is called, a square bracket array, we've changed it to a set. We're going to have probably going to have a complaint because it's probably not going to know what to do. Yeah, here we go. But that's okay, because all we need to do here is just loop through the array. For person, people. There we go. Here it says, I mean, it's easier to import the relatives and remove them manually than the other way around. And the good thing with that is, because you are completely right, the good thing with that is it has existing systems to protect the player from what they're experiencing here. So, this is all set up. Now, we do have some user, we've already saved, we do have some user quality of life that we need to do. We need to make sure the user is aware that they are preserving their genealogies. But now we've done this, we're just going to relaunch, because now we want to test it. And we're going to find someone with a whole bunch of relatives, and we're going to export them and see if their relatives come with. Now, this is actually going to be a bit of an adventure, because I've never exported someone before. So you get to enjoy watching me try and figure out how it actually works. But doing it this way, it retains our core objective, which when we're fixing bugs, we want to try and make the smallest amount of change possible. I don't know if the Hoover upstairs is being caught on mic, and if it is, I do apologize. The Roomba, when it's emptying, is very, very loud, and of course, it chooses the most opportune moments. Also, I just realized my dogs have been hiding inside all day. I probably should let them out in a moment. A slight background vibration only when I'm talking. Perfect. Do we have anything that will show us how many relatives someone has? We don't. Okay, that's fine. Let's see if we can find someone with a bunch of people. Actually, no, one person's probably good enough. So, first of all, we're going to export this person. Export, export, export. All right, so let's put this in downloads just because it's easy. So, in theory, we have just exported Zelfarino and their former spouse, Corporal Donny. Whether that has happened or not, we shall see. We only expected Dr. Zelfarino. No, only exported, we only selected them. So, if Donny comes along, we know it's working. Apparently we got a rare person in the recruitment market, but we don't care about that. We only care about Corporal Donny. It seems the Roomba's finished emptying itself. We've got about 45 minutes left on the stream, so this is probably going to be the main thing we do. Okay, we have an empty personnel. So let's go to File, Import Dudes. Okay, everybody, pray to Blake, keep your fingies crossed. Okay, it didn't export. Bugger. Okay, so that didn't work. So now we need to come back and try and figure out why that didn't work. Rumble, 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 rumble. So this is bringing them back in. Let's close out of all these extra tabs. Let's just close the tabs and open up the one that we have edited. Also, I think I forgot to switch over to MekHQ, but it didn't work anyway. That's fine. Oh, let us do a thing. Let us check the export. How many people are in the export? Zelfarino and just Zelfarino. Okay. let us next add some breakpoints. Let's just spam this with breakpoints. Breakpoint, 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 blah, 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 blah. There doesn't appear to be any filtering going on there. I clicked the wrong play. Ugh. Go into debug. So we're going to export someone and see if it works. Fightman says, "You sure you want to play to Blake about Sanglades?" Honestly, I'll just be happy if it works. This is already taking far longer than I expected. I was expecting quick in and out, off we chop, and this is definitely dominating the last half of the stream. But that's okay. If we can fix it, it's going to make somebody happy, I imagine. Oh, Roomba's back. I am Roomba. Hear me scream. And if you've been listening for a while and enjoying what you hear and what you see, consider... Oh, we still have these old breakpoints. Go away. Consider giving us an old follow. Means you'll get notified when we go live. You can see when we go live just clicking the schedule on the channel, and it'll be automatically updated to your time zone. Okay, so just double checking the actual export to make sure it did export Zelfino and not somebody else. I'm not going to switch for this. It did, okay. So we know the correct person's been exported. Okay, and oh my god, who did I just click on? Oh, there we go. They've got a whole bunch of... Man, they've got 4 divorced partners. But they did get a child. Okay. So, we are going to export this person, and we're going to see what happens. So export person, doop, and see if we hit our breakpoints. Yeah, we're always, that's fine. Okay, so we are hitting our breakpoints. Okay. Relusa, we've got a whole bunch of other people, I imagine. Who is Ralusa to them? Who is Ralusa to you? Oh, Ralusa's the actual person. Duh. Herpity-burp-dup. Okay, so we're getting the genealogy for them. Does it show me the actual genealogy? Here we go. Okay, you've got their former spouses, their family. Only includes their child. Aha. Aha, aha, aha. Okay, let's break out of that, because apparently family doesn't include their entire family. But we can fix this. So, let's break out genealogy. Doop. McDoop. We don't need this one anymore. Shoo shoo. So I bet if we exported them, we would have got their child. But what we actually want to do is grab everybody. So, I'm going to get their genealogy. And we're going to grab their spouse. We're also going to grab any former spouses. We can do that, forget that. So genealogy, give me your former spouses. Now, right now, this is only going to do one layer, so it's not going to fetch the... it's not going to fetch everything that we need. So we need to be very careful about that. But it is going to give us something. So people, add spouse. And again, because people is a set, we don't need to worry about checking that there's any duplicates. That's one of the real benefits of using a set. There are other benefits, but in particular in this, that is the benefit we're looking for. And we know from the other code, we also need to check. Oh, buggery hell. Is there a way to just get the... Okay, we're gonna have to do a loop. It's not be a big loop, at least. Former spouse, blah, blah, blah. People add former spouse. Get person. Okay, so that's done. We also know we need to check for pregnancies. Children will get fetched here, so we don't need to worry about that. If person is pregnant, people add person yet pregnancy. How would we fetch? I'm trying to remember how we store. Actually, we can have a look. I'm trying to remember how. Maybe it's part of genealogy. If we're lucky, it'll be part of genealogy. Genealogy. Pregnant. We did make it. Okay, we made a change somewhere earlier that will help us out. Here we go. How are we fetching pregnancy up here? Oh, I see. Okay. So let's just back out. Jump back down here. Okay. So we can duplicate this to a point. If person is pregnante, we definitely don't want to be grabbing all personnel every time. That's fine, because that will return false if we fail to fetch the person. No, we do need to... Okay, so if father is null, no, there's an easier way of doing this. So, if no, that's fine. If father ID isn't null, we need to get who is your daddy and what do you do. If father doesn't equal null, people add father. We actually need to do some checks up here. If spouse is equal null. Spouse. And I want to... No, this shouldn't have any nulls. So right now we don't actually need that. That's nice. So this will add any daddies associated with the person. Now right now this is going to be doing one layer deep. So if we have the father of a father or whatever, we're not extracting the entire genealogy. And we are still going to run into that problem. But right now we just want to test that layer 1 works. If layer 1 works, we can then expand and improve. The real issue is that if you have a campaign where everybody's banging everybody else, you're not going to just be able to export a single person. You're going to export everybody. And we may have to put in some safety checks for that. What we're going to do right now, though, is we're going to just export everybody. And the player can deal with it. Because as we mentioned before, it's easier to remove people once you've imported than it is to filter them out and everything else like that. I think that's the smartest way to do it. Now, the other way you could do is have a pop-up saying, hey, do you want to import everybody or clear genealogies? And you can go, whatever. But let's focus on what we can do right now. We can improve it later. Okay. So you've got a bunch of spouses. Ideally, I want someone that has a spouse and children. Bunch of siblings. Actually, if you've got a bunch of siblings, one would assume... Oh, they're all children. That's not very helpful. Find a suitable target. Siblings should appear in family, I would have thought. Let's try this person, Eduardo. Knight says, need a fleshed out big family tree. I can send you 8 megabyte zip right now. I'll pass for now. I want things to be controlled. Okay, so let's go back to... I know I'm not in IntelliJ. Sorry, not in MekHQ. That's my bad. But I do want to come back into it now. So is more than one person being exported? I can tell you immediately. No. So we're still running into the same issue. Okay, herein lies the issue. We're trying to be smart. And we don't need to be smart. Well, we kind of do, but... just do this. And let's see if that works. Because basically what was happening is we were only doing the extended family tree export in the event that more than one person was selected, and that is probably what is breaking it. Got about half an hour left on stream. I promise I will show the feature that I'm going to show is the same feature I showed at the beginning of the stream. It's not a huge thing, but it is a nice bit of quality of life, and I promise I will show that before we close off for today. Let's go back to MekHQ so you can see what I'm doing. And as you can see, I'm just waiting for it to load. The thing is, I don't want to just delete the genealogies because people really care about their campaign heritage, and it would be incredibly crap to just say sod it and just wipe the genealogies and force the player to monitor what they are and are not exporting. So let me just quit back to IntelliJ. Let's load in this. This is looking more like it. Okay, so we've grabbed a whole bunch of people. So we should in theory have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. Plus the original, so we should have about 7 people if everybody's exported. BC Retribution Search campaign stream tonight? Yes, absolutely. I will be taking a break for dinner and to recharge. If you check the schedule, you'll see what time that we're due to stream. That is adopted to your time zone. And because Hammer keeps telling me I really should, I will be doing @here on the MegaMek Discord. Hammer says I should. I don't like doing it for the dev streams because it is a kind of a bit more small niche. But for the main entertainment, shall we say, I will do it for that. Okay, so we have an empty campaign. Let us import. Thingy is crossed. Cross your toes as well if you've got them. Okay. So, yeah, I know we got Knowles. We got their child and we got them. We're still not fetching the entire genealogy because how we store genealogies is fucking not good. Okay. I can see why this has never been fixed. We might be able to address it by a little bit of I forget what the name is, but we might be able to do this. So, first things first. We're going to break this out, and what I'm about to do is it's really gross, but I can't think of a better way to do it due to how everything is handled, because it's all dynamic. Because we define the genealogy dynamically, we don't just... Okay, so get ancestors will get us some of what we need. It's not quite what I want. There has to be an easier way of doing this. Let's go back to basics. Let's assess our assumption. Do we have an ability to get all relatives? We haven't checked. Doesn't look like it. We can get siblings, we can get spouses, we can get children. That's going to clear the genealogy links. And if we can clear the genealogy links, What is relationship group? Let's just check in the family. Okay, let's reassess what we're trying to do here. I want a family breakpoint. I want to see exactly what we're getting. No idea why I did it like that. So let's add a breakpoint here. I want to see precisely what we're dealing with. Because in an ideal world, we would just get the family, and then we can then cycle through the family and just do it that way. There has to be an easy way. There's no way did the original author set up the genealogy without a way to just get everybody. Just waiting for that to load up. We've got about 20 minutes left, and I can't overrun, so worst case, because I need to make dinner, worst case scenario, we might have to abandon this and pick it up another day. I mean, it definitely looks like we're going to need to use some recursion. I wish there was a better way of doing it, but I can't see one without recursion. Radar says, who knows, you may get an idea on how to solve this over the weekend. Yeah, that's also another possibility. But this whole situation is incredibly gross. I have no idea why it was allowed to get to this point. Okay, let's find someone. Okay, you will do. You will do. So let's export you and hit our breakpoint. Okay. Who is your family? So look, who is their family? So they have a mother, 4 siblings. Go back to IntelliJ. Who is your family? So that's only recording their mother. It's not recording their siblings. Ugh. Okay. We are going to create a helper method, and we are going to... Sorry for knocking my desk there. We're going to create a helper method within genealogy. We are going to deal with this absolute nonsense. So. We have to return... We need to have a... So, what do we want to do? No, you know what? I'm going to can this. It is going to take significantly more thinking. And we have 15 minutes left of the stream, 20-ish minutes left of the stream. We're going to undo this. We're going to take a step back. Over the weekend, I'm going to think about it. I might even solve it over the weekend. But this needs a significant think about how we are approaching the problem. The code isn't helping us at all. It's actively working against us. And so this is something that needs to be dealt with. There needs to be a way to get all the genealogy, all the relatives, no matter how distant, that are attached to an individual character. And what I need to do as a developer is I need to sit down I need to go through the code line by line and identify why we can't do that. And I don't know why the original developer did not do that. Having a genealogy without any way to fetch the entire family tree, that's what we can do. So I can actually have a look at the family tree code that I made last year, early this year, whenever it is, and see how we're fetching all the relatives that way. That might be the way to do it. But again, that's going to take more than 15 minutes. But I did promise to show you off the new feature again, so bear with me a second. So those of you who are here early in the stream or keep an eye on the Discord, you probably have already noticed this. So this isn't a super exciting, massively awesome new feature. It's just a small piece of quality of life that will make everybody who plays MekHQ's lives a lot easier. Popside said, sounds like a good plan. Yeah, no, I think one of the things you need to recognize as a developer is you can't always solve every problem first bout. Sometimes you need to take a step back. You need to consider what it is you're attempting to do and how you're approaching it, and see if you can come at it from a different direction. Because if you can't do what you want to do, you need to check. You need to check your hypothesis, your approach vector. Like, are you coming at the problem from the right direction? And in this instance, I do not believe we are. I think the family tree has the key, because that code already shows the whole family. But to get that, I need time. Because the family tree code, as I'm sure you guys can imagine, is freaking huge, because it needs to create UI elements, it needs to check everybody's relationships. So we can check that. Just waiting for MekHQ to load now. It's going to build staging files. So I'll take the opportunity to say that if you've been watching for a while and you're enjoying what you hear, especially if you're interested in our ongoing MekHQ campaign, which will be airing in a couple of hours, definitely give us a follow. It helps the channel, and it also allows you to be notified when we go live. We go live 4 days a week for live dev chats. That's these things. They occur Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Friday evening. So tonight we have the Scrotorious Bastards. That is our ongoing MekHQ campaign. We are a Rasselhague Republic house unit, and it is less than 5 years until the clan invasion. We will be fighting the clans. We will make them pay for attacking our home planet. We haven't picked our home planet, but if they're going to attack it, they're going to attack our home systems, and we're going to make them pay with inner sphere guts. Something, no guts, no galaxy. Just waiting for this to finish building. The problem is, because the underlying data's changed since this branch was created, it has to rebuild it. It's a bit frustrating, but it is what it is. So yeah, like if you're enjoying this, definitely hit follow. A thank you as always to those of you who've gone ahead and gone the extra mile and actually subscribed as well. Radar says information is ammunition, exactly. But back to subscribers, we have a couple, and I really do appreciate all of you. I do this for you guys, really. The MekHQ wouldn't have a point to exist without you, the players, and so the subscriptions really do mean a lot, because they're kind of like, not just follows are good too, but the subscriptions mean that you're willing to really go above and beyond to show your support for what I do. And obviously these are not official MekHQ streams. We can't take money from MekHQ. If you're subscribing, you're subscribing to me as an entertainer, and I appreciate that. Dum-de-dum, waiting for data files. Don't worry, me singing will not become a regular occurrence. The staging of data files, it is super important, but it is so annoying. I just want it to be over. Vorpal Fish has followed me. Thank you so much, Vorpal. I'm glad that someone who's been with the project for so long is enjoying this absolute nonsense. But one of the good things about this is because like I am just one developer, and the whole team, this is what they do in their free time, and like I hope that these streams are giving you folks a glimpse behind the curtain as to all the work that goes into making MekHQ the best mecha management simulator in the world. And I believe that. There may be others, but I believe strongly that we are the best. We might not look as shiny, we might not have the best graphics. But you tell me how many other mech management simulators include pregnancy. And once, here's a fun bug, we actually had an mpreg bug. We accidentally made men pregnant in an older version. I'll just wait for this to load up, because I need to do a little bit of setup first. So we actually had an mpreg bug. When we first introduced the background simulator, that when you add a new character to your campaign, it simulates their relationship history, whether they've had children, been divorced, and everything like that. And whoopsie doodles, yeah, the Mr. Mum bug. Whoopsie doodles, we weren't checking if the character was had the organs to produce a child before we were checking to whether they became pregnant. And so, yeah, as Palpatine said, we had malignant mech warriors. That was that was a funny bug to find. I don't think that one ever hit production. I think we caught that before it went to production. PS359 says, well, I mean, I guess in some cases a trans man might be able to become pregnant. So this wasn't trans men. In MekHQ, a character has 2 genders, and this is largely a programmatical restriction. But a character has 2 genders. They have the gender that they present, and that is the gender that, generally speaking, you, the player, see. But they also have their a secondary gender which determines their sexual organs, and that is used for non-binary characters, and there's a chance of it, but that chooses whether they can produce children or not. Or I should say, which role in the production of the children they occupy. Are they a Willy haver? Are they a JJ haver, basically? And in this case, we were making Willy havers pregnant, which is not intentional. King Miles says, Malignant in my classic BattleTech? It's more likely than you think. So click past the bump. So I'm just setting up the illustration here, so just bear with me. Just going to go and get ourselves a list of parts. And the eagle eye among you, or those who were here earlier, might have already spotted what the issue is. So, if you can imagine, I'll set the scene. It is 3151. We have been playing our campaign for 10 years. We've been fighting the good fights, and we've taken a bit of damage. We're ordering some parts. We're ordering quite a few parts here. And our parts list is really, really heavy. But we have this Ultra AC10 down here. Now we are desperate for the Ultra AC10. You might notice on the right here, a new column, priority. Priority determines the list in which, the order in which your staff will attempt to procure any given item. Priority 1 first, and all the way down the bottom, priority 92 last. So right now, our Ultra AC10 is priority 17, which means 16 of our items need to be successfully purchased before we will even attempt to purchase our AC10. Now this is how it's always worked. This isn't a new thing. What is new is showing the priority. But you might think, Illiani, that's kind of a bit crap if we can't do anything with it. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. We have this Ultra AC10 now. We desperately need it. Our favorite mech is missing its favorite Ultra AC10. We need that AC10 yesterday. Or maybe we're in a situation where this ERPPC has a acquisition target of 11 plus. And we're never going to procure it. So what do? We go over here to procurement priority. Boop. We can scroll down to our Ultra AC10, and now we can change its priority. Move it up, move it down, scoot it all the way to the bottom if we never want to see it. But of course, move it to the top. Boop. So now the Ultra AC10 is number 1 priority. That is the first item we're going to procure. Boop. Here we go. Now if I advance it, ta-da, it's gone. We'll go over to a warehouse, and this will show us what we've ordered, and here you see it, the Ultra AC10. So what previously would have required 16 procurements before it'd even turn up, or have a chance to be procured, it is now top of the list. And you can do this for units too. Let's go ahead and purchase unit. Let's add ourselves an archer. Oh no, it's impossible. That's rough. That might not work. The archer's all the way down here. It should be possible. It's 88 in the procurement, so let's go ahead and grab that. Scroll down all the way to the bottom. There's our archer. Let's get that bad boy to the top. We need that archer stat. Pick advanced day. Go to our hangar. And where is our archer? Oh, it is being delivered, I think. This might be a bug. This might be a bug that I'll need to fix later. Have we accidentally added it to the warehouse, maybe? Where's our archer? Oh! No, we definitely ordered an archer, but apparently it's gone. When it's working, the archer will appear. But right now, for whatever reason, I suspect... Oh no, it's because it's down there. Ah, is it maybe broken for units? That could explain it. Let's go back to human priority. Let's just check I didn't just do something dumb. Move to the top. Okay, so that's on the top. Close that. Archer, you're there. Yeah, okay. So for purchasing units, it's not quite working, but I get that fixed. That will be my task tomorrow. But yeah, so now you'll be able to change the priority. And like I said, right now it's apparently not working for units. I didn't realize because I never checked to see if the unit arrived, and I therefore didn't spot that it was just getting shunted back down to the bottom of the list. I imagine if we removed everything else in the list, it would get ordered. Oh! We're out of money! Is that why it's not ordering? Let's, that might be the case. It might not be a bug, it might just be being stupid. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this one more time and see if we can add a unit we can actually afford. So let's go back to the unit market. Wrong one. Let's go to, because I thought I did check this earlier. Let's go for an Annihilator this time. I do like a good Annihilator. This is a fun mini. So Annihilator, where are you? Did I hit you? No, oh, god damn it. You can tell I'm getting tired. My brain is just floating. Buy. Purchase. Gimme. Down the bottom. Okay. Procurement priority. Do I have enough to purchase it? Yes, I do. I have a whole bunch of monies. So move to the top. Close. That is correct. We're now going to go to finances. We're going to give ourselves even more money because that was embarrassing. Boop. Okay, we definitely have enough now. Is it still in the top priority? It is still in the top priority. Advanced day. Okay, cool. There it is. All right, so it's not a bug. I'm just stupid. Hooray! So what? I didn't actually know about this behavior, but it seems that if you hit an item that you can't afford, it doesn't just block your procurement. It knocks it to the bottom of the priority. That's interesting. I'm not sure if I particularly like that, but it's not broken, so. PS359 says, does MekHQ let you fabricate your own components? From what I remember, it's possible in CamOps, although very expensive. Yeah, no, it is possible in CamOps. I believe it is an entire one paragraph of rules, but that is not currently implemented. But yeah, so you can now change the priority of your procurement. No more having to wait 79 procurements for your ER large laser. But with that, badoop. We are drawing close to the end of the stream. It's been a wonderful day for you. We've got a whole bunch of bugs fixed. Now, we didn't get all the bugs we wanted fixed, but some bugs fixed is better than none. It has been an absolute pleasure. If you haven't already, hit that follow. Make sure that you're informed. Check the schedule. You can do that by checking the main channel page. Not the video you're currently in. There'll be a schedule button. And have a look. See when our campaign starts later today. It's in a couple of hours. And it's our second episode. So you're joining us relatively new. We've only had, I think, 2, maybe 3 scenarios. So it's still super early. You're not going to miss out much. This stream will be available tomorrow up on our YouTube channel. You'll find the link below. And of course, the Scrotorious Bastards, they'll be available on the YouTube channel as well. But yeah, no, I think that's all said and done. Thank you everybody who's followed, everybody who's subscribed. I am going to go make myself some spaghetti dinner. Nom, 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 nom. So with that, I wish you a fond farewell. And remember, if you're doing your best, that's all you can ask for in this day and age. So with that, I wish you all a fond farewell. Make sure to drink your water. Toodles!